If you
Yeah, that
really
wouldn't
look
make
at
any
it.
sense.
No, because this whole thing is a learning process. So what is the purpose of the learning? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of the learning process isn't just you die and that's it. You know what I
It's
mean?
the process. It's literally that the part you said process is the important part.
Yeah, like this is part of the process. This is the beginning. This is the lowest. This is the physical. You know what I mean? It doesn't get any more basic than this shit, bro. You know what I mean?
People want to overthink it and complicate it, huh?
No, it's complicated.
Okay.
And it's not that people want to overthink it. It's that we're in the age of deception and they're trying to find the truth. It's just very hard.
Mm-hmm. No, because look, let's use the metaphor like we said, which is not a metaphor. Actually, it's actually a school what we're living in. But let's just say some kids in school, you remember they rather use school for play, right? While other kids were very focused on learning, right? And then a lot of us were in between, somewhere in between. Do you think most people are in the play?
I went there to learn.
Yeah.
And when they refused to allow me to actually learn, I began to learn on my own. And the way I did that wasn't the best way. But, like, for example, I'd be in school and they'd be trying to teach me some shit. And I'd be in the back playing with, like, thumbtacks and erasers and, like, building little fucking machines. And so
Mm-hmm.
my mind couldn't fucking sit there and just absorb their bullshit. I had to actually learn. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so they don't teach you in the schools that I went to. They only indoctrinate you. And because they couldn't answer me why things worked, I couldn't learn them. You know, I have Asperger's a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't fucking learn the way they were trying to teach me, and I learned on my own. So that's why I'm not necessarily indoctrinated. I just couldn't absorb it the way they were presenting it. I
What do
knew it
you
was bullshit.
what do you think the biggest switch over from teaching yourself and the way they taught you, which ended up working for you? What was the biggest thing that will help you in teaching yourself?
Is that I understood why instead of what. Like, they could tell you, like, yo, this is how you get the area of a circle.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know why does this give you the area of a circle? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, why? Like, how does it work? If you couldn't explain to me how it worked, I couldn't do the formula. It didn't matter. You could tell me 1,000 times. My brain couldn't put it together. I needed
Mm-hmm.
all of the information. My mind, being hungry for all of the information, knew there was a problem because they refused to give it to me. And I could find it on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, my teachers would give me like work and I wouldn't be able to do it in the class and I'd have to go sit home and like read the fucking books and learn on my own because it was there. My teachers just didn't know. They couldn't provide the information because they were dumb. And then I'd come to class knowing shit that they didn't know because they didn't actually study it or they studied it 10 years ago and they've just been teaching the way they've been teaching,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so I'd come into class and I'd know shit they didn't know and I'd answer shit they couldn't answer, and then they hated me and they started failing me.
You see,
And
that's the difference for me because I'm a teacher over here in Taiwan, like English, but we teach math too, and some and teach English, for example. And some of these kids, a lot of them are brilliant, right? And then when we go to some of these math problems, they're like, "Fuck, man!" Even for me, it's kind of tough, and that's when I'm like, "Okay, what did you get, man?" Because I know he got it, and I don't get mad at him. I'm actually happy that he answered the question. Something that I even as a teacher had a problem with,
I had a
But
lot of problems in school, bro. I'd be doing math in my head, and they wanted me to show the work, and I
uh-huh.
couldn't because they would do it in my head, right?
Yeah, I've heard kids
And
get
so
in
they
trouble
would
for shit.
they would say I was cheating
Yeah.
because I didn't have the work, but then I could do it for them. It's just I didn't do math the way that they showed me how to do math. My dad taught me how to do math different,
Mm-hmm.
so I couldn't provide them the way they wanted it because they had this weird like curriculum and shit, and like they were like, you have to do it in this. It was like APA for fucking math, bro. And I was like, well, I don't do math like that. My answers are right or not. And they're like, yeah, but if you don't show the math, it's wrong. It's just
Yeah.
like
I think that's in
simple
America,
shit like that.
bro. Like they always
Let
got mad at you. Like I got the right answer, but they're like, no, You have to show the work, you know. Whereas here in Asia, I mean, they do a lot of things wrong with school, but the one thing is they don't care about the work per se, as long as you got the right answer. That's what
So
they want.
basically, yeah, once I got to high school, bro, I knew I wasn't learning anything anymore, and they started to try to teach me the same shit that they already tried to teach me in like grammar school that I already knew.
Uh huh.
So I just started smoking weed and selling weed, bro, and I stopped going to school.
Got a different education right there.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean, it is what it is. Just started making money. I wasn't fucking around no more, bro. I was like, yo, why am I gonna sit here and sit in this class for another 4 years and then go sit in college for another 4 years when I'm making more than my teacher right now?
Mm-hmm.
Don't make no fucking sense.
Yeah. I mean,
It
it's
was all
getting to the point. If these subjects help us learn how to make money, from I mean, there's many things that would help us in life, but that'd be a big one.
they
If they
don't want
keep,
you to make money. They want you to be a slave. They just want you to know enough to be able to run a register at a CVS, bro. That's it.
yeah,
That's all they need. They don't need a fucking genius. That's why they produce slaves. They don't produce smart people.
mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure at some of these Ivy League private schools that these rich motherfuckers send their kids to, they teach them how to make money. Just not
Oh
in
yeah,
regular school for the masses.
right.
They want us to be as dumb as possible. That was their goal. They put shit in the food to make you dumb. They taught you the dumbest way to do shit. They didn't want you to do math in your head. They wanted you to need paper, but you're never going to sit there and write out math on paper, and you're always not going to be able to fucking do it without a calculator.
Yeah,
Simple shit, man.
and then people have that Peter Pan syndrome. You see all these men supposed to be men, but they're acting like they're not even like a preteen almost. You know, so
Well, they put shit in the food. They fucked up the people's idea of normal.
uh-huh.
And like with the amount of plastic that's in the food, the testosterone's being suppressed. There's a lot of fucking problems.
Yeah. Man, I just did a broadcast on that Olympics opening ceremony, how they took it off the internet, off the YouTube because of dude was showing his balls, right, on the Last Supper little skit they were doing. But I mean, that's weird, that's odd and all that, but it just shows you how in your face. And you're right, this has to be the end times because this shit's been going on for a long time. But to be so blatantly in your face of this, like,
Well,
it's
right now, right, I can tell you why this is happening.
yeah,
They're trying to rally up the Christian right wing Reich. That's going to basically like vote in Trump and get all crazy and go to war.
mm-hmm.
Um,
That fulfills their prophecy, right? Their Armageddon prophecy.
well, you see, they need to. All right, so essentially, we went through this a little bit already, but one of the goals is to destabilize America, right? And being that America, the core of America, what makes it America is a Christian white nation, right? They have to destroy that. And so that's why you see like everything they've been doing, their whole agenda is literally a direct attack to destroy that, right? Because they can control a world in chaos. They have the technology. But what they can't do is they can't control America the way it is, and they can't conquer it through pure military force. So they had to infiltrate it and destroy it from within first. And being that, like I said, the core of it is white Christians, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way you destroy that is homosexuality, transgenderism, anti-Christian, anti-white agendas. And that's exactly what you see happening in the world. I mean, in America, but it's spreading out globally. This is, you know what I mean? These are the agendas.
Yeah.
Right. And so they need to rally up the Christian right wing and scare them into essentially going to battle. Right. And thus destroying them through that, an economic collapse, a mass migration and an influx of people, while at the same time, I believe they're going to do some type of crazy catastrophe or event to really kick it off.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote in The Fall of America about how the final war, he sees it as Asia versus the white man. Do you come across anything similar, or you have another take on that?
biblically, right? It states Gog and Magog, which,
Uh,
to my understanding, appears to be communist China and communist Russia.
right. That's exactly what he was
And
saying.
so, like, I mean, I personally believe that America during the Cold War, right, was infiltrated, or the process of the infiltration of America began because the communists couldn't necessarily just overthrow America through warfare. And so I believe they started the process that Yuri Bezmenov would refer to as ideological subversion.
Mm-hmm.
And it was designed to destroy the United States. It was designed, essentially, comes from communism, Marxism, Bolsheviks, Kabbalists, Jews, Zionism, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same fucking plan. And that plan is mirrored in the letters of Albert Pike to Mazzini and Weishaupt when they discuss the 3 world wars that they're going to use to conquer the world. And essentially, it's playing out just as it was written. So I have no reason to believe that it's not going to continue, because I can see all the gears and chess pieces being put in place for it to happen just as it was predicted. Which is that the 3rd World War, they're going to utilize somehow Islam to destroy Christianity and destabilize the West, turning it into like a second class, a second world country, and making essentially communism in Russia and China the new world superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And that appears to be where they're taking place with the BRIC system and all the different pieces that are leading up to the destruction of America, which also lines up biblically with, a lot of different prophecies, famines and this and that, and all this different turmoil. And, they're right now, they're playing out like a script, the horseman parts of the end times. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The fact that I kind of see them playing it out leads me to believe that we've passed it, and they're trying to deceive us into believing we're in an earlier part of Revelation to throw off our whole perception of what's even happening. Because I've been doing a lot of research into old world buildings, and people don't really separate ancient and advanced technology into 2 categories. We kind of group them all together. And I've been realizing that there's 2 different time periods that we can't group together. It's different styles of buildings. You have one type of building where you find a lot of these pantheons of gods, and you find like pyramid-like structures. And I believe that was under the rule of the pre-flood, that was under the rule of the fallen. And then I believe at a certain point you had a ruling of Christ, possibly, where there was a kingdom of Christ established on earth. And you had all these advanced technological buildings built in the Gothic cathedral style. And then I believe all of those old world buildings were taken over, repurposed, histories were rewritten and fabricated in order to account for where this shit came from. And essentially, the age of deception began, the short season of the devil. And I believe that we might be in the age of deception, where like and it lines up with what I'm learning, is that basically everything we know has been hidden. Everything that we know is a lie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as a masses. And like when you start to really unpack it, civilization is much older than they say. There's a possibility that the New Testament is actually older than the Old Testament. There's a lot of crazy shit going on.
Well, I never heard that. That sounds pretty
Yeah.
paradigm
Well,
shifting. there.
It's like, imagine if you took the New Testament and then had to backtrack it in order to fucking cover shit up and account for a false history that you were going to create in order to deceive Christians. You get what I'm saying? Like, if I could give you a false back history, then I could, you know what I mean, alter your perception of the future.
To think out of it like that, it's like the Old Testament is actually a damage control.
Yeah, and I think they were also trying to cover a lot of shit up because we have a lot of evidence that there was edits. You know, that's why the Hebrew scrolls was written in scrolls. You could just pop out a fucking section and sew a new section in. And that's why the Bible was the first codex, which is a book where you can't just pull shit in and out. You know, you'd have to rip a page out and then rebind the whole book. So it made it a lot harder to edit shit. And we have a lot more preserved text. But then the Bible was attacked too. You know, we can't be ignorant and sit here and believe they wouldn't try to obfuscate, edit, manipulate the Bible too. You know what I'm saying? I believe anything they let us have, they let us have. You know what I mean? The Vatican don't have fucking miles of archives of hidden shit for no reason. It's hidden because we don't have it. If we had it, they wouldn't have to hide it.
Like, why the hell do they have an army?
Listen, man.
You know
the shit gets fucking deep. All right. When you start to really get into it, you got tunnel systems under every city that there's no possible way we had the ability to build because we had to bring in orphans to repopulate the whole country. So how the fuck could you even build this shit if you didn't even have people there? I mean, it's just fucking bananas when you really start to get into this shit. Like all the different bodies of Nephilim giants been hidden. All this fucking, it's just fucking insane. The amount of shit hidden is insanity.
Right. In your research, were you talking about like the giants in the terrarium? I think it's called.
All of it, bro. Tartarian Empire is so. Yeah. I think that Tartaria is a fucking cover up. You know what I mean? Like, like I think that they're trying to make it Tartaria, but I think that's basically like if what I'm coming on to understand, right, to be true, then Tartaria is a cover-up for the empire of Jesus that was established. And they're trying to say this was just some advanced fucking older civilization, but the shit doesn't match the other older civilizations of shit. Like the building doesn't match. It is nonetheless advanced. It is nonetheless amazing, but there's a difference. Like you look at the pyramid, right? Okay. Now look at a cathedral. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no fucking way man was sitting there carving that. It's just not possible. This is like supernatural fucking buildings. And the pyramids were beyond what we can do, but they weren't beautiful. They weren't like built in harmony. They were like machines, like crudely designed by like, you know, by people who don't have any sense of beauty and like harmony. And so like this is what's kind of leading me to believe that it's possible that we had angelic beings building fucking shit in the earth. And now like this is because if you look in Revelation, it tells you there's another period after. And that's the age of deception where the devil's going to be let loose for a small period of time. We see everything being reset after a massive fucking cataclysm in the 1900s. Everything that is destroying mankind was established after the 1900s, basically, that you look at right now.
Yeah.
This whole fucking country was basically repopulated in the 1900s. And then right after that, they start kicking off fucking world wars. So that was, I'm starting to believe that was the age of deception. And that's why none of this shit adds up to where a lot of people believe we are in Revelation. That's why nothing else adds up. And I don't believe they just edited our story, our timeline. They deified Jesus, changed what he actually did. They fucking changed other religious texts to pit everyone against each other. So nobody could ever agree on nothing and fucking just basically cause hell on earth. And now we're in the final fucking test.
Do you see this guy, Amon Hillman, like a plant, like trying to subvert?
Like I think he's a fucking, I think he's a creepy faggot fucking devil worshiper, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's my honest opinion of him as a man.
It's pretty accurate to what I've come across. I mean, he says some provocative, I get out of the box stuff, but it's like a lot of it.
That
I would say
motherfucker's
it's shock,
gay.
shock video. Yeah, he said, what did he say? He said,
The
ecstasy for
epigoonia.
him is it's a 14-year-old girl that's the oracle in commune with the universe or
Bro,
some
he said he wants to suck little dudes' dicks while he gets high on snake venom or some shit, bro. And fuck that guy, bro. If I seen that dude in the street, bro, we'd have a problem. Fuck out of him, bro. All right.
That's what's being pushed now in the algorithm as like a
Yeah,
when you
because
talk
they
about
look,
Christianity.
look. Here's what it is. Here's how you know who represents God. All right, they're fucking persecuted, and it's okay. All right, look, you could talk. People can say whatever the fuck they want about Jesus. It's all right. It's no big deal. You're allowed to, bro. You could just straight up just go and shit on Jesus in public. No one gives a fuck. You say
Right.
anything about any other religion or race or anything, they're done. And white people, you can say whatever the fuck you want about white people. There's no such thing as racism against white people. So white people and Christians are the only two people you can just do whatever the fuck you want to. They're fair game for anybody.
Yeah.
But anybody else is off limits. That's a reality. Why do you think that is? If you had to guess. Like if in these end times, if there was any people, right? And I'm not saying white Christians are God's chosen people, but if there was any people, right, that would be persecuted in the end times, who would they be? I'm just saying. Who would they be?
Well, it would be the chosen people. I mean, not to say that they're chosen.
I'm saying, like, in the end of days, who's going to be persecuted? Are evil people going to be persecuted?
Oh, evil people, right? Evil people.
Like in the wicked times, are evil people being persecuted?
There's a time they will be, right? According to those revelation.
Look at all the religions, right? Look at all the religions.
Mm-hmm.
What religions cause people to be good? Actually good. Look at all of them.
Moral component to it.
And then, like, you got to look at, like, the basis of the religion, the person that the religion is basically based on. You got to look at their life. Were they a good person in your standards as a man? Before you even read what they're doing, what they're about, right? Was that person a good person? These are things that are important to me because I wouldn't listen to you if I didn't think you were a good person. You know what I mean?
Right. I've seen how you talk to some of these people. Mike, I have no choice. I'm biased. My mother named me Gabriel, so I can't get away from it. I can't get away from God. Not that I want to, but like, so yeah.
I wouldn't tell you to get away from God ever, bro. That's like the goal of this whole shit.
Yeah.
It's that God wants people that choose him, not people that are forced to follow him. He wants people that love him, not because they have to or because they're scared, but because they love him and they understand what he did. Pretty simple.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, do you want your kids to fucking listen to you because you yell at them? Or do you want them to listen to you because they want to listen to you? It's like,
because they want to.
It's really fucking simple.
Yeah.
But if you don't have kids, you'll never understand. And it's a cruel, not a cruel, but it's a funny. It's cruel. It's it's like a divine comedy. That's what it is. This divine comedy that you will never understand
until you have kids.
If you don't have kids, you'll never understand.
Rant, bro. My life I thought it was changed when I got married, but once I had a child, like 6 years later, bro, that just flipped my world around, bro. My whole perspectives, because so much so probably people are sick of me talking about my son, but fuck it, like it completely made me want to strive to be as good as I can be, and also have integrity. Whereas a lot of people I see talking all this shit, be it manosphere, God talk, or whatever, bro, they've never truly wanted to help somebody, because
people
you can tell them,
people that don't have kids
do that, but it's different.
They're
It's
not
different.
invested in the world.
Right. We can't just
Yeah.
throw it away because it's, and we have
So, like,
our kids are.
someone who don't have kids, they don't care what happens to the world. It could blow up.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? I care
Right.
what happens to the world because I know that my kids will be alive when I'm not. So I don't want it to blow up. That's the difference, and it's a big difference. When we have a society of most people don't care if the world blows up, that's a
Mm-hmm.
problem.
We have vested interests now.
You got people out here preaching not to have kids.
It's crazy, bro.
This is selfishness in its core because something took resources and effort and energy out of his existence to create you,
Mm-hmm.
and it is your job to do the same. You have to pay it forward. Otherwise, you have debt. Think about that.
Yeah. But then they
How are
flip
you
it
going
on
to
us,
ever
Michael.
pay for that?
They try to flip it on us, say like you guys are selfish because you want that doesn't it's fucking ridiculous. You guys are selfish
No,
because you
yo,
want
it's selfish to take all of your resources and sink them into your own desires and pleasures.
yeah.
It's actually selfless to take all of your resources and sink them into the future of others and their existence. Many others. That's selfless. There's no other way to look at it.
Preaching
I
to
mean,
the choir, brother.
I'm not preaching to you. I'm telling the fucking internet, bro. They don't know.
Now they know. They're listening.
Now they know.
You watching this? I'm looking at this panel, man. I'm gonna get my ad homs on. You got this. I won't use that word. That's machines broadcast. But you got this alternative lifestyle dude with goat horns. It's
I
fucking
still
rocking back.
have I still got the horns, bro. I don't play them no more for the festivals because I don't, you know what I mean? I don't Jew out anymore, bro. I've decided that's not of God. I'm just saying. I did a lot of introspecting into who is God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you get real deep into it, and I realized that people misconstrued Jesus Christ as God because he comes in the name of his Father, but the Hebrew understanding of the name was the character of the man. Like when Jacob becomes Israel, his character was changed after he wrestled, right? So when you have Jesus coming in the name of his Father, it's that he came in the character of God to give mankind, humanity, something to compare, right? Whatever they think God is,
Yeah.
to his son, his image. And people deified Jesus and turned him into God, but
Right. I did the same thing when I was learning about sun worship, how the cultures did that. It wasn't until I listened to Bill Cooper's Mystery
celestial
Babylon.
Jesus.
Yeah, I listened to Mystery Babylon series by Bill Cooper, where he was saying that it wasn't necessarily in the ancient time a lot of the cultures worship the sun as God, but like you said, it was a manifestation of the glory and the greatness of God, the sun.
They worshipped the sun, a lot of cultures, because it was from the sun that they received all their source of life. Like they realized, right, that the sun grows the crops and the animals eat the crops and we eat the animals. And without the sun, everything dies. So that's why they were worshiping the sun.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, just saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's like like Manly P. Hall, bro. Like he goes into celestial Jesus, and that's really an occult fucking teaching that tries to basically turn Christianity into Luciferianism. You know what I mean? It has to do with the celestial and the light is further away, and it's all kinds of crazy shit, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Luciferian and Satanism, like, is it just the worship, basically like the worship of man as God?
So Luciferianism leads to Satanism. You know what I mean? It's like Luciferianism, right? Is the worship of the light. right? But the light bearer is Lucifer, right? And the light bearer, Lucifer, like essentially leads you to the quote unquote, right? Understanding that God is Satan. This is the belief, right? So Luciferians, right, aren't always Satanists,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that is the progression. That's the end game.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's Luciferians that are early in it that believe, like, okay, Lucifer is Jesus. He's the light bearer. You
Mm-hmm.
have people that are Luciferian that believe this. They're worshiping a false, it's an antichrist. You know what I'm saying? And this is so, you know what I mean? Like, there's Prometheans, right? Who believe that they could become God and overcome like God's plan with technology, like rebel against the gods because they believe God, like the God is evil. So there's that type of Luciferian also. Like it's the octopus with infinite arms that leads to the worship of Satan. You know what I mean? Like that's the end game. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Luciferianism is like, okay, Luciferianism is like the Christianity for the devil, right? Which leads to the worship of Satan, right? And like like the real Christianity, not what's in the world right now, but if properly understood, in my opinion, would be the belief that leads to the worship of the one true God, the Almighty God, creator of all things. So, like, Luciferianism is essentially Satanism. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Well,
a
we should
matter
get,
of like how far down that path is the person. These are the degrees. You know what I mean?
and the Satanism is all the way in. So when Jeff on here on this clip you guys were watching, when he said Jesus is the Lucifer is the key to unlocking Jesus, was that
So,
something that what a Luciferian would say, huh?
so like Jeff, right, claims to be a Satanist, but there's also like a difference. So you have people who actually worship the devil, right? And then you have like the goth girl at the mall that goes to Hot Topic and she's a Satanist because she has the Necronomicon and a couple of black candles and does witchcraft in her basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got people who run the world,
Mm-hmm.
who like infiltrate religions, do human sacrifice, fucking communicate with demons. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
different levels to this shit. Like there's just like, like, what I mean, you have bullshit versions of everything. And so like
Right.
I'll sit here and say Jeff is a bullshit version of a Satanist that they put out here to make you believe that Satanists are not a threat. He's not very
Mm-hmm.
threatening, Ooh, like
No, it's not.
you're like, oh, that's a Satanist, right?
Yeah.
So that you don't look at what's actually going on. Because real Satanists don't wear satanic shirts or horns or have Baphomet statues. They wear tuxedos and they
Right.
fucking go on TV and pretend to be good people who worship God. That's what real Satanists do. So it's a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff is not an actual Satanist. He doesn't even understand real Satanism. He has, at minimum, a basic understanding of the occult. At maximum, I mean, at
This is what's
maximum.
interesting when you watch a lot some of these Christian channels on YouTube where they unlock and kind of decode the occult and expose occult in pop culture and also other preachers. And a lot of times those people know more about the occult than some of these occult channels. It's very interesting. And the people who claim
So,
they're occultists and satanic or whatever, yeah.
so I'm going to be honest. To actually understand what the enemy was trying to do to avoid it, I had to study everything, and I got to a point where I just studied everything I could find, all the occult, everything. I was at a point where I was confident in what I believed and didn't feel like I was going to be persuaded by anything.
Mm-hmm.
You
You
know
have
what
any
I mean?
close calls?
Um, I mean, yeah, bro. If you walk through shit with honesty, like yo, the fucking celestial Jesus shit almost got me.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to a point where I wouldn't immediately move into shit. You know what I mean? Like when I was doing Hebrew Israelite shit, I was moving into everything, like embodying everything that I would find that I believed to be true. But then I got to a point in my knowledge where I knew enough in my knowledge to defeat a lot of shit. And then, shit kind of gets mixed up it's like a blender of spiritual warfare inside of your soul, where I juggled the idea that Jesus is either Lucifer, the deceiver, or he's the son of God. And bro, I've went both ways on that one question and had to sit there and literally fucking contemplate it for days. I mean, at one point, bro, I sat in a bathtub for like 3 days straight, just contemplating that idea, just trying to figure what the fuck is going on out.
Damn.
And yo, I bounced around a lot. You know what I mean? In my journey of like 10 years of just straight seeking like a fucking missile. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I had to really study everything in order to understand, like, how is the occult woven into this religion that appears godly? You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. And then I came to a final understanding of what I believe God, like, who I believe God is. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily who, but his character. Like, and I came to an understanding of who the devil is and what he has been doing, masquerading as God,
Mm-hmm.
masquerading as a false understanding of good, and
So just like
deceiving
Mike,
man
when you
into
talk,
doing evil
is,
by sanctioning and justifying evil as good in his name.
mm,
You see?
this, yeah, this is maybe why when I've heard you talk to some of these people on the panel, and it's not like you're necessarily talking to them. It's like you're talking to something that evil, especially when you rail on them. Like you're talking to that thing behind them, which is maybe that evil. Is that what that is? You're probably talking.
100%. Because,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, bro, I'm not ignorant. I'm not wrestling against people most of the time. I'm dealing
Mm.
with a demon.
Israel. Yeah.
It's
That's it.
not that the person is a demon, it's that this person is infected with a demon. And I'm not immune to this. I've been infected with demons. But because I have, in knowing thyself, I understand what it is and that it's possible. And I understand that it's possible to not be infected by demons. But the fact that I'm aware of them,
Mm-hmm.
right, allows me to understand that on a day-to-day basis, if you walk with God, right, you have to understand the devil has his agents and their claws are embedded in every weak fucking human being that is living in sin, because their spiritual armor is the weakest, their vibrational frequency is the lowest. They are the food for these demons. They're snacks. Good people have higher vibrations. They don't do fucked up shit.
Mm-hmm.
So their spiritual armor is strong. These demons don't really fuck with them.
Right.
But why would they have to? The demons are there to fucking push these people to their limit. To either they become good or they fucking succumb to their evil and it destroys them. That's what it's about. That's why it's allowed. Because honestly, if you don't fucking do the fucked up shit, the demons can't fuck with you. Now, when you're dealing with people in the world and in the internet, come out here
Mm-hmm.
speaking the truth, these demons have to shut that down. They drive these people crazy with emotions and get them out here. But even these demons, right? These demons that are dealing with some of these people on these panels, these are fucking low level demons. These demons themselves are retarded. You know what I mean? They're themselves emotional. You know what I mean? So you got
Mm-hmm.
to defeat the demon. Don't try to fight the man. You know what I mean? Even you destroy the man, the demon just goes to someone else, bro.
Right on, man. Glad I talked to you today, bro, because I had my moment in the morning when I was walking my dogs at the park, and I was looking at the sun, and I just felt like I had to have God talk, man. I mean, because I really understand like when I was little, like I just wanted to know God. Not I'm not know like no self righteous shit, but just know Him like a friend, you know. And it's cool to have these high level um talks, but in a way that's practical, bro, and it's not like all off the planet. So
It's because I've been off the planet, bro.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I've been there.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, like people, there's no way to really measure certain things. You know, like there's people that read, right? There's people that watch fucking YouTubes. There's people that study. There's people that know shit. But how do you fucking weigh how deeply a man has thought about a certain subject that he's talking to you about? Like if a guy sat there for fucking months trying to figure something out and figured it out, how do you differentiate from someone who just heard it? How do you know the difference? You don't. That's why I get mad at certain people. That's why I get crazy at certain people. I get all crazy, right? It's because it's like, yo, these people is mad arrogant.
Right.
Assuming I didn't sit here and fucking study this for months to figure it out, to save them the time. And then they spit in my face when I tell them and tell me I'm wrong. Look, it might be true, but they can never really provide a reason. You know what I'm saying? They just don't agree, but they don't really have an alternative. They don't ever have a solution. Everybody out here knows the problem. No one ever has a solution. I got solutions. No one ever wants to hear them. You know what I'm saying?
Because that puts the ball in their court, and they're like, I actually have to do some work.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So they just don't agree with you. You say it's easier to not agree with you than change their life and do the right thing. Most people don't want to do the right thing. They just want an excuse to do the wrong thing. They take the path of least resistance. Mankind is a weak fucking species for the most part, unfortunately, from what I've seen. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, in today's age, mankind has been weakened. I do believe mankind was much stronger willed and stronger all round. But we have allowed ourselves through our own ignorance, through our own laziness, to be destroyed. We need to make radical fucking changes in the way we live our lives or the way that our parents live their lives if we don't want our children to experience even worse than what we can ever imagine. Because that's what's headed for you if you live in America. A worse future than you can ever fucking imagine. I don't know how Japan's gonna fare, but if America falls, Japan's fucked.
I'm even closer to the front line. I live in Taiwan.
I'm just saying. I mean, I expect Japan to come out with some crazy ass Gundams and start fucking chopping China in half or some shit, but they're still gonna be
Alexa.
fucked. Yeah, you know they're gonna hop out with a Gundam,
Oh
fucking
yeah.
chop some Chinese shit in half, bro. Some next level Gundams, bro.
They might even summon Godzilla.
But yo, at the end of the day, Japan is very tiny. Like in comparison to China and Russia, like right up their asshole. They're fucked.
Mhm.
Unfortunately. And I mean, look, if America's fucked, which they are, I'm gonna keep it real. America's pretty fucked. The way that it's been, like the way that our defeat has been already done. You know what I mean? All that's left to do now is pull some dominoes out, and the whole fucking shit falls down. I'm not a prophet. I don't see the future. I just see a weak ass foundation that was built intentionally so that the builders could knock it down. And that's what the builders built. All right. The Freemason builders, they built a fucking the shittiest fucking infrastructure they could possibly make. The most inefficient fucking thievery guild gang of fuckery. All right. You got two
Amazing.
options, bro. You got two options in this motherfucker, bro. You know what I mean?
Plus,
Yo, you either fucking get the shit beat out of you by the system and you comply, which is you worship the beast, or you fucking abandon that shit and you follow God and you experience hardship, because that's what it is. It's hard to exist outside of the beast. It's mad hard, bro.
so you can take those hardships as a badge of honor, then, as a
But,
when
I mean,
you experience
you can
it.
do whatever the fuck you
I'm
want,
not
but
don't be a masochist, but it's
it
proof that
sucks.
you're on the right
You know what I
way. I
mean?
guess.
Like, yo, doing everything yourself sucks, but not relying on the system, you can't have the rug pulled out from under you. So that is the future, right? The future, the right now sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if my parents all built, right, all built empires of fucking paper, right? I have to build the actual fucking concrete infrastructure, and I'm talking literally here, bro. And building concrete infrastructure sucks. But once it's there, it's not paper. It doesn't just go up in flames. You see, my kids will have whatever I build in concrete and stone. They're going to have that for 100 years. And every fucking stone I lay on my property, it's there for 100 years minimum, bro. In Porter cement mixed with sand. You got to think like this, bro.
Yeah. Your legacy.
You know what I mean? I've been in the rat race. I've been stuck in it. But you realize at a certain point, yo, if you don't already have an infinite fucking amount of money, right? You're going to have to work and you're going to have to make money. And then a portion of that money goes to your landlord.
Right.
And that's slavery when you only make about enough to fucking pay for that, your fucking rent, your electric, whatever the fuck, your needs. And you're just living to pay your needs. That's what most people do. The only way out of that is to first remove the overhead that you have. And most people's overhead is ridiculous because of rent.
Right.
The easiest way to eliminate rent is to own your property, build your shit. Most people don't want to do it. It's fucking hard.
It is. I own the property here, but then I need to go further and try to get more outside of the city, though, with my next properties.
Well, here's the thing. The further out into the country you go, the harder it gets.
Right.
Like, I live on top of basically a fucking hill, on like the side of a fucking hill. That's just straight rock in the middle of the woods. You know what I mean? If you want to get building materials, anything up to where my house is, it's like insane. I have to constantly put gravel in the road just to keep it drivable. The water comes and washes my roads out. You know what I mean? So, like, the deeper away from the infrastructure you get, the more you're on your own. You know what I mean? And the harder your life is. But, you know what I mean? You don't become rich from doing this. What you do is you basically ensure a future for your children, which no life in the city is going to do. But, like, we stated, people are lazy. They're not willing to go and rough it for many years to build a future. They're just fucking cowards. They keep tap dancing as long as the music is playing. You know what I mean? They're scared to stop.
Yeah.
There'll come a day where I'll just sit down and I'll be done. And it won't be a retirement. And I won't be waiting to hear if the music plays. I'll know it's gonna fucking play. You know what I mean? Because it's all set up. It's done. But I can only do the best I can do. You know what I mean? I can't speak for the rest of the world, bro. The world's still fucked. You got people like this guy fucking Pine Derby, bro. You got fucking Satanist Jeff, bro. You got some fucking paid government operative, middle female character number 3. You know what I mean? You got fucking senile ass Chuck, bro, just on here fucking. I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore. It's just fucking crazy.
Dude. What do you think any benefit of coming on the panelverse?
The benefit? Well, I myself have struggled obtaining the information that I've obtained. It's taken me many years and reading a lot of books, doing a lot of research to omit bullshit. And I have reasons why I believe everything, and I try to come out and provide people with some clarity as to the nature of reality and all of the truth that I've been able to find to uncover the works of essentially the works of those who hid all this shit in order to deceive mankind. I seek to expose all of their works in order to disarm them, in order to empower mankind and help mankind find God. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've struggled with finding the truth. I've moved through a lot of shit, made a lot of mistakes. So why do I come out here? Is to help people avoid those mistakes. And as a side quest, I'm inspired to fight evil people and just obliterate lying, evil deceivers and Luciferians in the panelverse. I can't, it's like a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Your side mission.
But like a side quest.
Yeah.
When I'm inspired. Sometimes I feel like I get called in to just fuck shit up. Can't explain it.
I mean, I already kind of knew you before because you ended up in my Discord for a short time before. But this panel, I'm glad I rediscovered you on Machine. Machine's panel's wild, bro. It's a lot of interesting people I met on here the last month.
Well, yo, I tell people I've been out here for a long time. And I'm the same motherfucker, but I've changed on what I believe to align with the truth that I've found. That's the reality. You know what I mean? I ain't never hid nothing from nobody. And I ain't never did nobody wrong. But I have fucking, verbally disrespected and abused a few people who I lost respect for because of the shit that came out of their mouth. That was not in line with the truth. And it did appear that they had malicious intent. Though I may be wrong. I'm only a human being. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, I remember in the Discord though, you gave it to John the Baptist, John the Revelator, I think he called himself. Pretty good a couple times. That dude that thinks that psychedelics is God.
Fucking just the messengers, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I mean, look.
I had the Discord before.
I'm just saying, man. The dude was just. You can't be doing shit like that. Like, I don't think he had necessarily bad intentions. I think he ate too many fucking psychedelics. And I'm no stranger to the psychedelics. So I could relate with him on a lot of shit. But at the same time, you know what I mean? He's just not right. He wasn't coming correct. You can't sit here and stand on the scripture of Buddhism, the scripture of Christianity, and the scripture of Islam all at the same time and quote them to me, number one, while you tell me that the mushrooms are the God. You know what I mean? Hold on, bro. Don't get it twisted. I've also done research into that. I've done research into the theories that Jesus is a mushroom. I've done research into the theories that the Hebrew Israelites had manna that was psychedelics and it was in the showbread and it was in the jars. It's possible. You know what I mean? I've done research into the psychedelic religious uses of the soma of the Indians, which was THC, ephedra, and also psychedelic mushrooms mixed together in a drink. I've done research into the cannabism in the anointing oil and how it was likely cannabis through a lot of different research. How they would burn cannabism inside the temple and shit.
Hotbox it basically, huh?
Yeah. I mean, do I have like definitive evidence? No. So I don't like sit here and make claims, but I've done research into these things and I'm aware of all of it. I don't claim that mushrooms are God. You get what I'm saying? So just the messengers would try to quote all this shit, but like I've already been through this train of thought. And there's a couple of authors that get really deep into it, the anointing oil. And I've read all their shit, watched all their presentations, and I'm not impressed. You know what I mean? It's possible. But like, Like I smoke weed and shit, you know what I mean? And I look, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know enough to sit here and say, like, that's the problem. A lot of people want to come out here and say shit that they just think. When I tell people shit, it's shit that I really know. If I don't, I probably wouldn't tell you. I would just be like, I don't really know.
Yeah, that's probably why I ask more questions than I share.
Some people only ask questions though. But see, you don't ask questions with the wrong intentions.
I'm trying to learn.
You got a lot of people that just ask fucking questions and they just want to ask questions to try to eventually catch you on anything.
Nah, I'm trying to find commonalities.
No, you get what I'm saying though, right? Like there are
Yeah.
people like that, and it's just like I can pick that up, and that's when I start roasting people. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna give them what they want. I'm not gonna sit here and play the game where let's talk. Because like I could talk for 10 hours and I fucking say the wrong word on accident while I'm in the middle of something, and I'll go to correct myself, and they'll be like, "Aha!" And it's like, "Oh, you questioned me for 10 straight hours to get what?" Let me reiterate. I meant to say.
Yeah.
That's how you really fuck with them.
Right. Shit. These characters, man. I gotta do a compilation one of these, the best in Mike going at it. All the panels.
Bro, there's so much out there, bro. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. You based Oracle, that was a funny exchange. Last time you guys talked.
Bro, what's wrong with these people?
Machine, you still there? Yo.
There's no accountability in the Poundiverse, bro. That's a big problem too. Like people go out and make complete fools of themselves and say the most retarded shit, and then they come back the next day like it didn't happen.
Right. That I didn't get, bro. Like how they can like talk complete shit about somebody, and then they'll be on the panel with that person not say anything, and that person that knows they talk shit about them won't even bring it up. It's weird. They don't even defend themselves, or
I don't roll like that, bro. We don't give it up like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyone can get it anywhere, anytime, bro. You know what I mean?
Bring the smoke, man. Because when you do it, when you go in discourse with somebody, it definitely does bring out what you truly believe. You work out, you refine it, right?
Yeah, but yo, here's what most people don't realize, right? Like a lot of people come out here on the fucking internet and they're giving you their fucking persona, right? They're giving you their mask. I'm here. I'm giving you me. This is my fucking soul directly projected onto the internet. You know what I mean? This is how I feel. This is how I fucking believe. This is how I think. I don't sit here and calculate my words. I don't have to. This is why people can't believe that I know things. Because I'll talk for fucking hours. They don't have the balls to talk for 10 minutes.
Right. It's not easy.
It's easy to catch someone in their lies when they just talk. Unless they're not lying. But they don't understand.
In the chat, they're saying, Mike, you're right on.
Bro, they don't understand what it is to not lie, which is why they can't believe that I'm telling the truth. They can't believe it. You know what I mean? They don't see a possible world where you could live in truth. They don't even know where to begin. That's like this guy up here, this fucking Pine. What's his fucking name, bro? Pinecone?
Pine Creek.
You look like a pine. You look like a pine code, bro. Walmart version of Drew Carey. You ever seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, bro?
Yeah.
You know the guy. You know the guy that dips the cartoons, bro. Yo, tell me he's not that guy, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yo, I'm just saying, like, that's that guy.
No purpose in life. An atheist, how can you have purpose?
Like, my purpose to come out here is to try to enlighten people and stuff. Like, what does an atheist have to gain exactly? Even if they convince you of atheism, they don't like save you. from anything. They just make you more miserable. I don't know. Like to give you less hope. It's a death cult, I think.
It's like that
But
blue
I don't.
screen with death behind him.
But yo, here's the thing. I don't think he's really an atheist.
Nah.
See, I don't look. Anyone who has any kind of intelligence can't believe in nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Atheism is essentially like not even believing you exist. It's like it's retarded when you really get down to it. And this guy seems like he's smart enough in the way that he's carrying himself to try to cause mass fuckery. So, I mean, you gotta understand there's people that just say whatever the fuck.
So he's LARPing at least LARP is something that's cool. He's LARPing at something that's a piece of shit, an atheist.
Because, yo, he said he was a Christian fundamentalist, then an atheist. He is whatever the fuck he needs to be to deceive you right now. To me, he's a Luciferian. You know what I mean? This is a snake. You can't ever catch them. They're just slipping all around, bro. Trying to nail him down, and he's standing on nothing. That's what you got to nail them down on. That they stand on nothing. And call him a retard and move on.
There's no commonality there. He doesn't stand on anything. If you don't stand for anything, you go. If you don't stand on something, you'll fall for anything, right?
If you don't stand on anything, then you're accountable for nothing that you do. I can't trust you. I can't trust a person who doesn't have any fucking accountability to nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Could you say that is kind of like a paradox of Zen, like Zen Buddhism in a way? I'm kind of making it simple, but like how everything can go this way or that way. Is that kind of like not standing on anything?
No, like yo, Zen Buddhists believe in being good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they stand on something.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They believe like they don't want to fuck around. Like they don't even want to hurt like a bug and shit. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But like an atheist, it doesn't matter. They could just cut your head off. It doesn't matter. Like their life doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? There's nothing to hold them accountable except for the threat of them losing their own life, and that's why it's a death cult. Because that's what they're driven by. They're not driven by the desire to live. They're driven by the desire to not die. Because that's all they believe there is. They don't believe they can live if they die.
Right. Do you think Jeff or this Pine Creek Doug or whatever is a father?
I don't think Jeff is.
I mean, this guy with the blue screen.
Pine Creek might be. He might be a father, but I don't know, dude. Like the dude is fucking shifty, bro.
Yeah, I've never seen him before until today.
He could be anything, bro. He could be anything. You know what I mean? It's like you can't nail these fuckers down if they're just gonna say whatever the fuck. I have no fucking idea what he actually is. He's presenting himself as one. Okay. You know what I mean? Fuck if I know. You know what I mean? Yeah. A lot of people also never wrong. If you spend enough time out here talking, you're going to be wrong. I'm wrong sometimes, bro. I'm just like, oh, yeah, you know what? Come to think of it, that is wrong. You know what I mean? And then, like, we move on, bro.
Yeah.
It's okay to be wrong sometimes. It doesn't mean you're wrong about everything. It means you've been speaking for 10 hours and you're high as shit. You just said some stupid ass shit that sounded good at the moment. Because this shit ain't scripted, bro.
The realest reality show.
So what you got going on in Japan, bro?
I don't know. I'm in Taiwan actually. So
Taiwan.
Taiwan. I'm on break from my teaching job, summertime. So I just been building with my son and my wife and making these doing these live streams and clipping videos and talking shit a little bit. But that's about it.
What's your plan for the future, bro?
I plan
Being
for
in Taiwan. You know what I mean? It's about to get crazy.
plan for the future. They've been saying that though the last 7 years, 8 years, but yeah.
Well, yo, you got to realize, right? These people move in like decades. So, like, Agenda
Mhm.
2030, it's not here yet, but like, we know that's
I'm
where they're
probably coming
headed with.
back before that. I'm definitely gonna be coming back to America. Probably
What do you
after 4 years.
What do you got planned in America?
Good question.
So, like, yo, America is getting nutty,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only going to get nuttier.
Yeah.
And if you plan on being in America in a future time, it's unlikely that you'll have time to actually establish an infrastructure and a foothold before it goes crazy, if it's
Mm-hmm.
not already crazy. That's just
Right.
my personal opinion. But it's a strong one. Strong opinion.
So you're saying you should have start laying it. That's the plan. You shouldn't be laying it down since 2 days ago.
What I'm saying is that whatever all right, here's what I'm going to say. I don't know where is going to be a good place to live in this earth soon.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do know is that living in the middle of the woods is usually good if you have enough woods in between you and every coastline. Coastlines are usually bad. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I also know is there's some really deep parts of Vietnam that were unaffected during the Vietnam War, had no idea that the shit even happened. And I know that if shit gets crazy in America, you know, there's a lot of parts in the middle of America that are not going to really be affected, and you can kind of weather this shit out. But there might be better places in the world. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I've heard that don't go on the coast. I mean, I was mentioning the fall of America, Elijah Muhammad, and he said the center of America is where it's at when stuff's going down.
Well, there's
Don't go
also
on
like, so the poles is shifting right now. And they've been repainting the runways to line up with geomagnetic north and shit, but the poles is shifting rapidly, and they usually start to fucking do fucking crazy shit with the tides towards the end of the cycle.
Yeah.
And it usually causes massive cataclysms for any cities along coastlines.
Yeah. Well, we had it last 3 days. We had a very good preview of that with this typhoon, super typhoon. It finally stopped raining. Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I mean, I couldn't tell you what the best place to be in the world is, but I could tell you that Taiwan is probably not a good place to be.
Right. So I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Like, I know America's gonna be falling, but as soon as like America is fucked up, Taiwan is toast.
Right. Exactly.
And like, they'll be toast way before America's toast, even while America's falling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It takes a long time for those ships to get out over here to the strait, even if they want to help. So you're right. Yeah. The movie just came out, bro. They're already doing predictive programming. 2 days ago, there's a new Netflix movie made by Taiwanese about the invasion of China on Taiwan. That shit was I could barely watch that shit, bro.
I think
was
that, I mean, this might be crazy, but I think after all is said and done, I think America might get invaded by fucking Russia and China.
damn.
But that's after it's first destabilized to the point of like almost annihilation. You know what I mean? This is like
Yeah.
after
Up, right?
a massive like Hunger Games, essentially. And I believe that's going to be kicked off with some crazy false flag terrorist attacks, a bunch of smuggled in fucking agents that are masquerading as civilians that are going to pretend to be fucking, I don't know, some terrorist organization. And you're going to have like a fucking civil war, which is going to be like immigrants and like fucking Islam versus some crazy Christian right wing, like Trump fucking bananas shit. And like, yo, it's gonna look like he's doing like the right thing and like saving the fucking world against the deep state, bro, and the terrorists. And it's gonna be fucking nuts. It's gonna be like, like before the Civil War, there was never a Civil War. This is gonna be like back like in the future, they're gonna look in the history books and you're gonna have like fucking people with fucking like ARs and crucifixes and motherfuckers with like balaclavas and fucking AKs, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be like,
Yeah.
I don't exactly know what the fuck's gonna happen, but
say 100 years from now, that'll be the Call of Duty mission.
And then after that shit is, after that shit, like it's not gonna annihilate the country. It's just gonna fuck it up, right? And at that point, that's when the war is gonna pop off. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No, this is not a pre-recording. Come on the panel and smell your finger. It's a live finger. Yo, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is not my own personal ideas. I think this is going to pretty much happen because of the trajectory and the research I've done into all these different fucking secret societies, all their plans. It all lines up. Mm-hmm. What's up, TCPS Unfiltered?
How's it going?
How do you do?
I'm doing well. Just listening to this discussion, it sounds very interesting to me. This is stuff that obviously I'm concerned about as well, as trying to avoid coming cataclysms that I see as being inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the solution, you think?
Well, I would say that the solution is not going to be something that will likely be actually adopted by the broader society. So the solution, I would say, would be more to try to, like, for individuals who are aware of what's going on, to do the best they can to escape and minimize the risk to themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would say really, like, one ought to focus on developing skills and competencies, survival skills, that sort of thing, relationships with people that have these survival skills as well, community building, obviously getting the hell out of anywhere remotely urban, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of focusing on building like a parallel, not necessarily society, because like I said, I think it's going to be relatively small numbers, but
trying to build. Dog?
Oh, what's up now?
Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from the U.S. I'm from the U.S. South, so it's a little easier, I think, in the South probably to do what I'm talking about than if you're from, I don't know, say like Los Angeles or something.
Yeah, what part of the South are you from? I'm from the Ozarks right now.
Okay. No, actually, the Ozarks are a really good place for escaping from chaos.
That's why I came here, bro. I'm from New York City, bro. I was born and raised there my whole life. And I moved out to Miami for a little bit. I met my wife when I was selling business loans in a capital company. And then I had a kid and decided to move to the Ozarks to build them a future that would be safe from the tyranny.
Smart man.
No, actually, I would say the Ozarks, they're actually one of the top, 3 or 4 places probably, because they're just so, really underdeveloped, and a lot of people in the area, because I've been out there, a lot of people in the area just are really still living a more old-fashioned method of life. A lot of them, they still have that sense of community, right? I remember I was in college, me and a bunch of my friends went to Colorado for spring break, and on the way back, the car broke down in a small town in Arkansas, and pretty much the whole town came out to help us get it fixed. So
Wow.
Yeah, small towns are where it's at. Like BLM tried to burn down our courthouse or some shit, and the whole town came to town with fucking rifles and shotguns and shit, and our courthouse never got burned down, bro.
Right.
Just saying.
Would you see that's a false narrative about like how this racial divisions in the small towns in the South?
Yeah, it's all bullshit because they were trying to burn down our courthouse for some shit that, like, I don't know, they fucking some racist shit happened with the courthouse like fucking 30 years ago, and everyone here is like, yo, we don't know what the fuck you're even talking about. Like, we didn't do nothing. This town's been fucking not racist for 30 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know. No one's here that did it. You mad at, like, what are you mad at us now for exactly?
well, it reminds me of a story that I remember I watched a video a while ago about a folk singer from Kentucky, from the Appalachian Mountains, and she was saying that she never knew that racism existed. That there were black families in the coal mining regions, but she never knew that racism existed till she moved to Richmond, because Richmond during the 60s was full of like race riots and just general chaos.
I mean, yo, you got racist people everywhere and you have unracist people everywhere. What I've noticed is that in the past like 20 years, the whole fucking country has become less racist. Even out here in the middle of the woods, most people are not racist. Whereas back in the day, bro, like black people couldn't even be in this town. You know what I mean? Now you have black people in the towns, no problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like the innovation of like the internet spreading information gave people, I mean, a common consensus of like certain fundamental shit, whereas a lot of people didn't have access to certain information, right? And they're not educated at all. And so the only thing they knew in some of these rural areas back in the day was what they were told by fucking their ancestors and their ancestors' ancestors who fought fucking wars and all kinds of fucking crazy shit. You know what I mean? And so, like, once these people found out shit, like, I'm gonna be honest, this is not a dangerous place for fucking anybody. You know, my wife's not white. You know what I mean? She's Cuban, and like nobody gives her dirty looks and nothing like that. You know what I mean? There's black people that live in the town, and nobody like treats them wrong with, you know what I mean? Like nothing. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think racism is dead. There's always going to be people who are crazy and racist, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it seems as though racism has become more like subtle, right? Like now, what I'm noticing as somebody who's spent the last however like 4 or 5 years online, doing all sorts of advocacy for indigenous people and indigenous rights, is what I find is that you get a lot of these neocon types who steadfastly, loudly, and proudly deny that they're at all racist, while at the same time defensively shrieking about what utter savages indigenous people are and how like their culture was worthless until the West came and saved them. So I guess what's happened is that like racism has moved in the direction now of being more like just,
I'm just giving you like my personal experience in America currently. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal as it's being portrayed. Don't get me twisted, right? There is definitely going to be pockets of fucking crazy shit happening everywhere. You know what I mean? So like, there might be a town where there's race riots. I don't fucking know. But where I'm at,
I also think that a lot of what I'm talking about is probably like the extremely online, right? Like
right. I was about to say that, dude.
The real life. No, you're right. Real life. People do not react IRL the way that they react when I try to spread this message online. It's one reason I'm not as online as I used to be is because I'm finding that, wait a second, like people in the real world are actually somewhat decent and somewhat human and somewhat intelligent. They're not at all like these shrieking, insecure little men that I had to suffer under for the last few years.
Well, yo, you'll notice, right, that for the majority, right? Real racists are fucking cowards. And that's why they're racist in the first place. They're scared of black people or whatever. You know what I mean? They're scared of fucking whitey, whatever it is, right? So that's what drives the hatred is fear, right? And that's why on the internet it's so widespread because they can hide behind the keyboard.
Right.
And they're not scared, so they could be openly racist. In public, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be openly racist because they're scared by default. That's the cause and the effect.
And even in these panels too, they may be like not quote unquote racist on the panel, but when they get into their little discords or backstage, they start speaking more freely, and you see it come out, right?
Well, that's what happened with what's that dude Jim Bob, right? Made by Jim Bob. He goes around doing the typical like orthobro narrative that, oh, you know, we're anti-racist, we don't believe in ethnophilatism and all this stuff. And then though when he was cowering on the Machine Lies live chat that one time, when he sat there for 2 hours angrily crying in the chat while refusing to come up and join the panel that he was invited to 10 times, he started using all these like anti-Muslim slurs against the Machine Lies.
I see how that been coming out and people get out their feelings, bro.
Don't get me wrong, bro. If I'm fucking sitting here roasting someone, I might use some racial comedy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
I think this was very personal. This guy it was not comedy, believe me. It was butthurt. There was nothing remotely.
Yeah, it's got to be funny or it's hatred.
So you're saying it was mean spirited.
Well, I'm saying I think it was a defensive. He was like a wet cornered cat trying to claw away because he was too cowardly to actually come out and face him. You know, because I had the same experience with him, right? Like he sat there and reviewed one of my reaction videos in a whiny, bitchy little way for about 2 hours on his panel, and then made up every excuse in the book not to have me on for a debate. Like, he's just a very pathetic little man. Emphasis on little because he's like, I think 5'4" or something as well.
These men are cowards. Okay, I'm trying to explain this to you. It's very simple. We don't even have to complicate it. A lot of these people on the internet are fucking pussies. And that's half or even more than half of the problem. Because in reality, they wouldn't say this shit, half of this shit, because they would get punched in their fucking face.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And that's like, I don't care who you are. You say the wrong thing to somebody, they're gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you don't know if they're gonna punch you in the face makes you second guess what the fuck you're gonna say out of your stupid mouth. Just saying. When there's no threat of being punched in the face, you might just say some stupid shit that you probably wouldn't have said. Was it really worth it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's sad though, because these people are going around and they're giving like truthers, they're giving people that are sort of aware of what's going on a bad name, because most of these guys are, you know, to some extent.
Bro, I seen a guy get so mad he shot his camera, okay?
Oh, what's up?
Bro, I seen a guy get so mad, bro. I think he shot his camera. I'm not positive. He definitely aimed his gun at his camera. He was like, I'll fucking kill this camera right now, bro, if you guys don't stop making fun of me.
Damn.
It's true.
What was the last thing you were going to say, though?
Oh, yeah, my bad, bro.
No, I was just saying that because the problem is that these are the people, though, that are out there and shifting opinions among those that are waking up, right? Because a lot of people now are sort of, especially a lot of like the young people who've had their lives ruined by technology and online porn and stuff, they're becoming aware that something's wrong. and then they're going to the internet and they're getting funneled into these new dumb rabbit holes. And it's getting really annoying for me because I'm also going through I went through about 10 years ago or so, I went through the process of realizing that everything that I was told by society was completely false. So what I did was I tried to look at all these other cultures and all these times in the past and figure out what was adaptive. And then, now I'm going and trying to tell other people to do the same thing. And instead, I'm being greeted with all these like new fake sort of psyops that are coming and are basically making people in some way just as stupid as they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago when they completely bought into the system.
Exactly. And they won't listen.
Secret Matrix.
They won't listen now, and they're so invested in the lies, right, that the cost of accepting the truth is too great for them. So they have to even double down and go all in with the lies. They don't want to listen to the truth, TCPS. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They doubt you. They deny you even know, right? You can't know.
Yeah,
No
no,
way.
I think it's fascinating because it's like, I've been going after these like fake red pill gurus and stuff for the last year or so, and the amount of people that get triggered and mad when you insult their daddy. I should have figured it was going to happen, but the thing that I don't get is that like I'm actually doing this from their perspective, right? I'm telling them that like these people are actually ripping you off and that they're actually telling you to do things that are maladaptive and bad for you.
They don't.
But no,
They
they're
want to
like,
be.
no, I'd rather do something that's bad for me while getting to feel morally superior than actually
Right.
open my mind and listen.
That's right. They want the comfortable lie. They don't want the uncomfortable truth. You give them the uncomfortable truth, they're going to hate you. Jesus Christ gave you the truth. They hung him on a cross. Just saying.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, don't you understand, bro? We are literally in the devil's playground. Like, the devil is in control of this world right now. While God controls all things, the devil is currently running whatever the fuck we have going on right now. If you haven't looked around, we have the tranny Antichrist fucking Last Supper. I mean, come on, guy. Look.
Yeah,
Shit's out of
certainly
control.
I'm becoming more and more convinced that there's a lot of truth in the whole like ancient Kali Yuga myth, right? That like basically the opposite of one of the lies that society's trying to tell. I think becoming less and less able to actually convince people this. But one of the classic lies that I've gone against for the past 10 years is this Steven Pinker, everything's getting better, the world is such a wonderful place lie. Because the truth is, if I look around, it's like it's the Kali Yuga of the ancients, right? It's like we're seeing a moral, social, technological, human degradation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even that's an explanation for something that was determined to come, though, and they'll tell you it's cyclical, but there's no way to know that.
Yeah, I mean, Crowley called it his aeon, the unification of opposites, which in a weird way that's happening. Like you see, men and women are fusing together. We saw like Mike Rant mentioned the Last Supper tranny shit, right? You see, what's gross and degenerate that's being flaunted on high end fashion.
They want to invert everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They want to invert and corrupt everything.
Yeah,
I would say it's something that really got kickstarted with the new social norms that developed out of the West with the Industrial Revolution, but it's just gotten progressively more and more like perverse and in your face since then.
Right. Yep. Wide open.
You can call it whatever you want, but it's a satanic agenda that's been going on for quite a while. You know what I mean? Like the inception of America had the very conditions that we're experiencing today in its design.
Oh yeah, well that's another thing that people get really mad if you bring up is the fact that the Enlightenment hasn't been. Not only has the Enlightenment not been this wonderful gift to humanity, it's been a disaster. It's been an unfettered disaster. and we're so deep in the Enlightenment matrix that like even the people that claim that they're against it are stuck in it, right? Like this is one of the things I've gone after these so-called, right-wing Christian nationalist traditionalists, these people like Andrew Wilson, these people like Tim Gordon that are going out there trying to tell you that, oh no, we're really anti-modern, we're really like ultra trad. And then not only are they completely stuck in the Enlightenment paradigm, but in some cases, like Tim Gordon's case, he got so mad and so scared and blocked me from ever being on any of his live chats. Like I got blacklisted from his live chat simply for pointing out the fact that he was a fraud who completely is stuck in the Enlightenment presuppositions and has never ever actually thought about what real tradition would look like.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean they're all fucking fake cowards. I went on like Jim Bob's and he shut his show down, and I mean that's kind of usually what goes down, bro. People shut their shows down, or they kick me off.
Well, yeah, well, it's a corrupt club, and it's a heavily censorious club. I give credit to Jay Dyer because he was the one person that kind of was willing to entertain me for a little while, at least once. Right? He actually let me on to have a debate. But these other guys, they're terrified. Like all you have to do is just say, "Hey, wait a second. Here's what your church fathers believed, or here's what these ancient philosophers that you appeal to actually believed is totally different from what you believe," and all of a sudden cue the manly tears and the salt and the just childish behavior.
I like to evaluate.
Mike, I'm about to leave. I got some family stuff. Good to talk to you, bro. Hope
Yo,
to see
you
you.
already know, dog.
Yeah.
All right, good to see you as well.
Nice to meet you too. Unfiltered. I sub to your channel, bro. Go check it out.
Hey, yo, when you
Awesome.
ready to get out of Japan, bro, holla at me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got some shit I'm working on out here in the Ozarks. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, brother. Bro, go to NPC the game when you have a chance. I'm gonna leave my Discord or whatever because I need to. Yeah, man.
Yeah, leave your shit in the back, bro.
Okay. Appreciate you, dog.
Yo, you
All right,
already know.
love you, dog. Peace.
See ya.
Peace, brother.
So TCPS, bro, what do you you know what I mean? What are you doing with your life, bro?
What am I doing with my life? Well,
what's your goals? Because I like to evaluate a man before I evaluate like what he's even telling me. That's how you get around a lot of this bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
you mean like what are my personal goals?
What is your goal in life? Like, what is your purpose?
Well, I would say that I don't want to get too personal, right? Because I'm trying to stay relatively anonymous. So, I would say that the goal of being online, being on these panels, doing what I'm doing, though, is I'm trying to, as much as possible, raise awareness, right? Like make people understand that we are really like lost sheep in a lot of ways. We are really lost. And it doesn't have to be like this. We don't have to be, swimming in this just like sort of dark tide of just hellish hell world.
But yo, there's a lot of people that have all these suggestions and kind of know what's going on, right? But they're still enslaved, and they're okay with it, right? And the fact that I understand wanting to be anonymous, but describing like what you do doesn't necessarily give people an idea of where you are and
well,
who
you mean
are.
like what do I do to make a living? Like what's my job?
No, like yo, all right. So like I live in the woods, right? In the Ozarks, and I'm building infrastructure, you know what I'm saying? So that my family has something to like, exist within outside of the fucking system that is corrupted. You know what I mean? And like I homeschool my kids, I feed them good food. I teach them real shit. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that this is what I am doing with my life. This is the the purpose to give my family a good shot at a future. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
to be right, like in righteousness, a good future. I don't want a wicked family. I want to raise them right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say no. I mean, that's eventually, that would be a goal for myself. Would be to help pass on good ideas, adaptive ideas, necessary ideas to the next generation. Help to form community. Help to get involved with, I don't know, possibly local politics. That's something, I'm still fairly young and poor, so these are things that I'm thinking of definitely for future, not things that are going on necessarily at the present. But
How young are you?
well, I'm about 30.
I'm 34.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Yeah.
figured you're a bit older than that.
No, I'm 34, bro.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, what's preventing you from doing, like, what exactly it is that you want to do and what's preventing you from doing it?
Well, again, not to get too personal, I guess what I'd say is that my ultimate goal would be really to like help and serve others, right, around me, right? Like my ultimate goal is I want to be somebody who's helping to rescue as many people that I know personally from the various problems that I see going on in the world as I can. Obviously, not expecting that I'll be able to reach everyone that I know, or even, maybe reach most of the people that I know, but to be able to reach as many as possible and help them through what's an incredibly harsh and desolate time, harsh and desolate world.
So, like, what do you plan on doing to do that?
I would say, I'm already doing some of that to the extent that I'm capable. And again, I don't want to get too much into specifics because I try to keep my personal life off the internet as much as possible.
I mean, I understand up to a point, but it is also hard to, I mean, establish trust when someone is so elusive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, I understand to a degree, but at the same time, it's sort of like I don't think that one necessarily has to be. I'm trying to think how I put this. Like, not only do I think that one doesn't have to be necessarily like super open about one's personal life on the internet, but I actually think that to some extent that's detrimental, right? Like, my person and my message are not the same thing, and that is one problem I see actually with these like so-called influencers and stuff is that
Yeah, that's a problem.
they mix the self and whatever it is that they're trying to establish, whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, and
Yeah,
them themselves mixed together. That's an issue.
if you don't live your message, then you are a hypocrite.
Well, I would say that by definition, though, the message that I'm making is not, or the message that I'm telling is not one that necessarily it's necessarily possible to be a hypocrite with, because I'm basically just saying, well, this is what is wrong with society, and this is what societies that have lasted and accomplished more have done instead. And it's only up to a point that one can necessarily even live according to what a more adaptive society would live, because obviously, societies in the past didn't even have the internet. You couldn't go online, right? Like, I'm not so much giving like complete prescriptions of, well, this is what we have to do. What I'm doing is I'm presenting alternative models. And I'm saying, well, let's look at these alternative models. Let's not necessarily come up with a dogmatic answer of there must be one right way. Clearly there's something wrong with the way we're doing it. Let's take a look at the various thousands of other societies that have been studied by anthropologists and see which one, and we can have discussions about which one is doing right in which area, and what we can learn from this society, what we can learn from that society, etc.
It's all fucked.
Yeah, I would say nowadays Kali Yuga's hit everything, which is why really you have to go back to like older ethnographies from 50, 100 years ago to see more of what I'm talking about, more of these societies that haven't been like completely mind colonized.
I mean, how are you going to transition from what it is right now into that when they didn't transition from what they became from what we are?
Well, I'd say to some extent, some aspect of like degrowth is just going to happen, right? Like it's not like we're necessarily really going to have a choice in the matter at all. If you look at like pretty much all the modeling and the trends, and actually even what like powerful people now are saying, there's I think a general admission that we're heading towards the fall of civilization, and with that fall, we're going to have to expect that this current system is just not going to be sustainable. It's just not going to be maintainable. So it's not really like, oh, finally, we can have people that are wise to what's going on and we'll move out to the country and try to build relationships, try to build communities, and try to develop, life skills, become preppers, etc. And they'll be better insulated. But like, it's not like anybody's ultimately going to avoid the fall of civilization. It's going to hit everybody. So it's just really how aware are you ahead of time that's going to happen, and how well are you able to plan ahead of time that's going to happen.
So how far along are you on your plans?
I'm getting there, right? Like I'm in the process, right? Like I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say I'm Amish, right? I wouldn't say that I'm capable of completely weathering any storm, but I would say that I'm a lot more capable than I was 5-10 years ago, right? And hopefully 5-10 years in the future, I'll have a lot more of these skills than I have now. Sort of a process, a learning process.
What if the shit hits the fan in like a year or two?
I would say I think it's unlikely that'll happen that soon. I think things will get worse over that time. If it happens too quickly and I'm not prepared, then I guess I'm just screwed, right?
Well, they just did a fake assassination, right? The fucking senile puppet has just dropped out of the race. They're pitting the cackling Kamala against the guy who just got shot, and they're rallying all the Christians, pissing them all off by basically directly insulting the Last Supper with a bunch of trannies at the France Olympics with his nutsack hanging out, dressed like a Hindu god or some shit. So my point is that they're planning on kicking some shit off. If you haven't
well, absolutely. It's going to be, things are going to become more chaotic over time. Like we are becoming more third world, right? Like
also,
sorts of shenanigans that were the electoral stuff that we're seeing. This is par for the course in a lot of these like Latin American or African countries, and that's the direction that we're going in.
I don't know if you noticed, but the Liberty Bell got defaced by like Hamas or some shit, right? We've got wide open borders. The economy's collapsing. They're destroying all kinds of food supplies, like supply lines for food, to basically cause an artificial famine. They're spraying us with poison, hitting us with bioweapons, making, you know what I mean? What, like, what more can we put in there? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I mean, I'm fully aware of all the issues that are going on. In fact, I've been talking about this stuff for years.
Are you unaware that we're currently being exterminated.
Yeah, I'm completely aware. I'm aware of the whole plan to, radically reduce the world population and all that.
Like, we are the carbon that they seek to reduce. You see, we are the carbon. When they say, like, we got to reduce carbon for climate change, we are the carbon.
Okay? Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was what the whole,
That's what it's all about.
Ouchie, psyop. That was completely what that stuff was about.
Too many people, they're claiming this amount of people is going to exponentially expand into an unfucking manageable amount of people. Right? It's not that it's going to overpopulate the world. They're just going to lose fucking control. Okay? And so they know that they gotta wipe most of us out so that they could fucking whatever the fuck they want to do next. Survive the apocalypse by going into bunkers. I don't fucking know exactly.
Yeah, well, the way I'm looking is that I think to a large extent it's that there's an increasing understanding that the only way, like, that they don't necessarily have, because the population is so large and because so much of it's concentrated in the third world and a number of other factors, because of the destabilization of the first world, they're sort of realizing that they're in a much more difficult situation than they were 30 or 40 years ago. So now they're sort of hoping that World War III happens. Right now, they're just hoping that
they're not hoping
the nations of the world against each other. No, I mean, I understand they're doing more than hoping. They're deliberately pushing things towards World War III by
not even that. Look, everything you're seeing, right? Everything you think is reality is not. Like, the countries that you think are countries are not.
Oh yeah, well they're all fake, right? Like, I mean,
like,
most of these countries are just drawn up by people that
what I'm saying is
didn't know about the
these
local
people
or anything.
are all in on it, right? Like, the goal is to exterminate humans. So they go, all right, we're gonna quote unquote go to war, right, over here, and then they just kill a bunch of people in a big pile. That's a war, right? These countries are all, quote unquote disagreeing on shit, but we all agree on Antarctica and the space station. We all agree on these lies, but everything else we disagree on. And that's when the cookie starts to unfold. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's, I would say though that's how it's been. Even with like World War I, World War II, it was pretty much.
You're watching a reality
big
show.
Sort of phony. Yeah, they were phony wars basically. I mean, they were incredibly real for the people on the ground who were getting slaughtered, the cannon fodder. But
right,
up at the top, there wasn't this idea that really the British elite and the German elite hated each other. I mean, Lady Astor was pro-Nazi during the Cold War.
After the war, they conquered a bunch of Nazis.
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, yeah, you ended up having Nazis in the CIA, and then you ended up having Wall Street funding communism during the McCarthy era, and it was completely. So yeah, it's been theater forever.
And the Rothschilds funded the Nazis and America during World War II and Europe.
Well, and that's the thing. Like so this is an old game, right? Like, this great game. This idea of like the clash of civilization. It's been fake for quite a while, and that's one of the things that I covered on my old channel that got deleted.
There's a lot of shit going on, and so like it's good to tell people what's going on. I agree, but we need, like, we need solutions. And like, we need to give people solutions.
Yeah, I guess, because I would say that
can't come to them with any problems. It's bad. It's a bad model.
My understanding is that the solutions is sort of like a process to try. Like, there's certain things that you could say, yeah, absolutely, we should do X instead of Y, right? But I'm more just into like, well, I've got to open people's mind to the possibility. We're just like all of what we understand is just a tiny drop in the ocean, and just take a look at that ocean and try to figure out something better for yourself. And that's not to say I don't have my opinions on what the solution to each individual problem might be, but I'm more just raising awareness that there is something outside of the matrix out there. Because right now the biggest problem I'm seeing is that like nobody's even thinking at all. Nobody's even. It's like it's not even possible to get people to realize that there's a whole world of thought out there, that thousands of societies, thousands of cultures have existed that have done things totally differently from us. And once you come to that realization, then you can start thinking about solutions. Like you can't even think about a
I
real
told
solution.
you. They're
once you're
poisoning
stuck.
us, bro.
What's up now?
They're poisoning us. How the fuck are you expecting people to think when they're being poisoned?
I'm not expecting everybody or even maybe the majority of people. I'm expecting some people to be able to think just because I'm seeing evidence that some people are on some level waking up.
Then
Right?
you're all
People are on
with,
some level aware.
then you're also dealing with people who can think, right? And they are pretending to be ignorant. Then you also have people who are, literally interfacing with demons.
Yeah, certainly I think that there's a lot of the last group in these
There's a
online.
there's a lot of people that are straight up controlled by demons. Like if you look on TV, even the LARPing, right? You can see that these people are literal puppets.
Yeah, certainly I've had enough experience with Discord mods that I'm thinking a lot of them are under some sort of demonic influence. I'm not even like just like I'm not just saying that because I don't like them. I'm saying that
Yeah,
'cause, like, they're literally like the way that they behave is just irrational,
they're drunk
illogical.
on they're drunk on power and false authority that they don't have in their reality. They're also stained by the sins. You know what I mean? A lot of them. Not
Yeah,
all of them.
certainly, and that's the thing. Like you have to keep in mind that a lot of the people that you encounter in these online spaces are pretty much like the biggest like degenerate coomers imaginable. So
It's
and
hard
to
to
be fair, a lot of
determine.
people you encounter in real life are some of the biggest degenerate coomers imaginable.
It's really
Unfortunately.
hard to determine who you're dealing with. But these are despicable times, and we're dealing with, on the most part, we're dealing with despicable people who don't want to be despicable. They want to be considered normal. So yeah, we are walking through the hall of illusion, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I would say that. Well, that's the issue. Right, is that like there is no normal anymore? It's the boy, who was it? Saint Gregory, the dialogist, I think, or dialogist, once said that the time is coming when men will go mad and they will seize the one who's not mad and they'll say, "You're mad. You're not like us." And that's what we got right now.
Yo, we got Hiram Abiff backstage. Apparently.
Hi. Well, I see. There's this guy Cage.
Yeah,
What's up, everyone backstage? Oh,
I'm
wow, you've been
fucking with
waiting for 20 minutes.
I'm fucking with him, bro. I
Oh, I
called him
see.
Hiram Abiff, bro.
Hiram Abiff.
Yeah, bro, because Cage is a self-initiated Freemason.
Oh, uh-oh.
Well, no, it's not bad, bro. His lodge is in his own house.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he, in his room, bro, he painted the ceiling like the solar system and shit.
Oh, dang.
You know what I'm saying? And he glued little glow-in-the-dark stars from the NASA lobby, souvenir shop. He glued them to the ceiling and shit. And he fucking, you know what I mean? He's got a Jackin and Boaz on his bed poles. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Oh, dang. Well, he sounds like an interesting guy. I wouldn't mind.
Oh, Cage is great, bro. He's great.
Okay.
He's fucking great, bro.
Yeah, I've sort of because I've been off the internet for a while, I've sort of lost track of a lot of the people that come on these panels. So I can't say I know who he is, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I'm pretty aware of everyone on panels. You know what I mean? I don't ever remember seeing you on panels. You been out here like that?
Well, I not for a while, right? Like I used to be last year and maybe like beginning of this year. But I've been trying to do less and less on the internet because I'm finding it's really diminishing returns.
Is this your name, or did you have a different name?
Well, I went by the name of Traditional Culture Preservation Society for a few years. Didn't really get a lot of traction. I got suppressed by the algorithm. I got multiple times got strikes against my channel by people that just had a personal animus against me, and it was just I found it was a pretty unpleasant experience. So my channel died. Then I sort of tried to resurrect it just a few days ago, but I've only been uploading old things from last year.
Prairie is asking questions and demanding answers from chat from one of us. If you want to have a chat, Prairie, there's a link. I think you can join the chat. I don't really communicate with chats. I don't really watch it, to be honest. I'm only watching it to see what the fuck Cage is saying because he's hilarious. I don't even know if TML is here. Yo, TML, are you here, my dog? He might be back in a few minutes. But yeah, yo, I would love to answer all your questions. You know what I mean? But you would have to have enough balls to come ask them. So, you know what I mean? That's how I do it. If TML wants to answer your questions, he can. I like to know who's asking questions. You know what I'm saying? TCPS.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not
I mean,
OIC. It's more along the lines of like you have a silly icon of a sunflower and a generic ass name, and you're most likely a sock account of somebody. You know, just saying.
well, he's
If you really wanted to know, I could provide you with the information, but you would have to somewhat identify yourself, at least with your voice. And most people in this world are, in fact, cowards.
well, he's not getting mad yet and dropping the axe, so he's clearly not toilet bowl Earth.
And yo, if you're honestly a genuine person, please understand that, you know, this is like a spiritual battlefield. And so I do apologize if you get hit with a stray arrow. I don't know what's up with the backstage Cage, so you're gonna have to probably wait some more. But yeah, bro. I mean, like, yo, the reality is, a lot of people think that they have more time than they do. I believe, right? And you know, you might have more time than I think you have, but I've been preparing for like I want to say 10 years. And I'm not really completely comfortable with my readiness level. And so if someone started today and should hit the fan in 10 years, they might not be ready because it's really hard to start from like zero and build a whole fucking tiny empire. You know what I mean? And not only do that, but to do it honestly without fucking cheating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Without doing
I
no,
would agree with that. I would say that
without
I would
doing no
say that
crooked
nobody
shit.
really should rest as though we're safe because we're not, right? Like we can do the best we can. We don't know what could unfold. I have an idea that of generally how things are going to unfold, but I can't give you a date. I can't give you a timeline, and you know, definitely we can't rest assuming that things are just going to be okay. And that's the worst thing we could possibly do, because if we rest, assume things are just going to be okay for us, then we're almost guaranteeing that things won't be okay for us.
The advice I give people is, yo, surround yourself with good people, people that you know that are good people. Position yourself in a good location that's going to have lots of freedoms, as opposed to like these fucking cities that are going to have zero freedoms. Build yourself some infrastructure so you're not reliant on the city, and basically so you're not reliant on the system, and do the best you can for your family and the people around you.
No, I would say I pretty much completely agree with that, right? Like that's pretty much the crux of what one has to do, is everything that you just said. You know, I'm lucky because I'm from the country, right? Like I was born in the rural South, and I still live in the rural South. But I understand that a lot of other people in this world are not so lucky, that they've had to sort of figure this stuff out, and maybe many of them, you know, just the total bug men, aren't even thinking about it.
I'm from New York City, dog. I went from being a banker to fucking living in the woods. You know what I mean? I was making like crazy money, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck this money. I'm gonna go live in the Ozarks in a trailer, and I'm gonna work in exchange for land. And after a few years, bro, I earned the land. Started building shit. My dad helped me out a little bit. You know what I mean? And I've got a household and fucking my own land, bro. Bunch of kids running around. Everything's great. You know what I mean? But nothing's fucking, you know what I mean? Perfect. It's not exactly the way I want it. Shit's rough.
Yeah.
It takes mad time. People think shit's easy. Like, yo, life ain't like Minecraft, bro. You know what I mean? Go cut a tree down and see how heavy that shit is. Go pick up some fucking rocks and a shovel. Go try to stick a shovel in the ground in the Ozarks. You know what I mean? Go fucking chop your wood, bro. Feed your fire all winter.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the chopping wood and hauling wood. That was actually, I was a lumberjack for years. That was my first job. So I could guarantee you it is a grueling and time consuming way to live. But on the other hand, it's really good to know how to do that stuff, right?
Yeah, bro. Wake up, go out, chop wood up into rounds, split it with a fucking 8-pound maul, drag it inside frozen, stick it in your wood stove. Do that shit every day. You know
Just sad. I don't know. It's just sad that so many people, they don't even, this stuff isn't even on their radar, right? Like, I mean, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a rural community, and maybe that's one reason why, like, I've had such a hard time, you know, if you will, adjusting to modern life, city life, and why I think it's so like just sick and disgusting. But it's like people don't even understand, like, this what we're talking about is on such a different wavelength from their experience. I've had people, like multiple people that I've known in various places that I've been, that like they're not even aware that this stuff exists. They think, well, nobody lives like that anymore, right? Like there's the coast, and in the middle it's just flyover country, and nobody lives out there. And it's like, I mean, if you want to do that to, well, this is why I tell these bug men is, right, it's like, you want to do that to yourself, then that's your prerogative. But finally, what happens happens.
I mean, it's the only thing I could see doing. You know what I mean?
That's what you have to do. Like,
I don't have any secret information that would change the world or anything. So, you know what I mean?
you don't have any gnosis, any
Yeah,
Masonic secret words
the
up your
world
sleeve.
will when God changes it. I mean, the fuck am I gonna do? I could do the best I can, right?
That's really all we can hope for, right? We can. The world is not going to listen to any of us. The world doesn't care finally about us, but we can help people that we know, that we trust, that trust us, that we have a good relationship with, as much as is feasible, up to the point where it conflicts with their free will. That's really about all that we are capable of doing, is helping ourselves and hopefully helping those who are willing to listen to us.
You want to know how you push it in perspective, bro? For anybody, and I mean most people that ain't about it aren't gonna believe you, but yeah, at the end of the day, look, everything that you see, God sees. Everything that you do, you'll be accountable for it at some point, even though you may try to avoid accountability in the earth. If you observe the way that life plays out, you can't get away with anything. You steal something, you'll lose something.
Yeah,
You
I
hit
guess it's like
people,
the
you get
basic
hit.
sort of like karma and the law of balance, right? Like there is ultimately justice, but for a
Violence
lot of
begets
people, that's not what
violence,
they want to
right?
hear.
That's how it is. You know what I mean? It's like you get in what you put out. You
Yeah,
get
that's
out what
true.
you put in. And there's people that cheat. You know what I mean? I can't explain what they put in because there's people that put in their soul. And they get out all kinds of crazy shit, but it's not something I'm willing to part with. They sell
Well,
their own soul by selling out humanity.
pride goes before a fall, so I'm confident that ultimately nobody will just get away with it, right? Like I do believe that ultimately there's justice, even if there's not justice here on Earth.
The fact that we're still free, right, after all the time that has passed in existence, the fact that we're still free to sit here and talk, right, about it leads you to understand that the Almighty Creator is in control of all these things. And everything is exactly the way He wants it. There is something benevolent keeping all of this evil that surrounds us at bay. And it is so apparent, and it cannot devour us entirely yet because something is still keeping it at bay. The fact that we have not been devoured is evidence.
Oh yeah, and I use that point against like against Gnostics, right? Because a lot of Gnostics will like to say that, oh no, like you know, there's no reason to believe that God is ultimately good. But I think that that idea is ridiculous. That it's impossible for God to be anything other than ultimately good, right?
They get confused because essentially, the God that was being followed was the devil. The God ruling over this world right now, right? The mighty one ruling over this world, you could say is the devil. And above the devil, God Almighty rules over all things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess what I'd say is that the issue that ancient Gnostics and neo Gnostics like David Icke do the same thing, right? Is that they'll confuse the devil with the creator, right? They'll say that no, actually, that the creator of all things was an evil god.
It's because they're conflating the creator of all things with a God who is masquerading as the creator of all things, who was the devil. So,
Yeah, I
for
think that's a pretty
example,
good way to put it.
you got the
Probably.
devil masquerading as God, right? Lucifer, the reflection, right? God creates a perfect reality. Lucifer holds up a reflection, not the light source, but the bearer of light, right? Holds up an inversion of the perfected reality. You see?
Well, this is sort of why, because you saw this right in
It's like
Marcionism as well.
God creates perfection. Lucifer tells man, no, that's not what it is. Do this. And now man is in imperfection by listening to the lie, like he's the father of lies. This is the inversion of the truth.
Well, yeah, I would say that's why, they're telling you to be complacent with the system, right? Because they're telling, well, this is the way it is. This is just the way it is. The world is just messed up and evil. Another group I go after is these like David Buss and these other like fraudulent evolutionary psychologists. They're going around saying like just no, actually like nature just inherently is fucked. I'm like, no, I don't believe nature is inherently fucked. I think nature got fucked, right? Like I think it's something which it was a process which happened. It's not the way that things just were at their outset, but it's so helpful for controlling people to convince them of that, to convince them that no, actually nature itself is the enemy, creation itself is the enemy, or and finally, in Gnosticism, the creator is the enemy, and that the solution is what's unnatural, to escape from nature, to escape from creation, and to escape from the creator entirely.
There's a lot of crazy ways to look at things, and this comes from trying to find the truth and different ways to perceive reality. You will land in shit like that. Like I've landed in some crazy thought patterns trying to understand the truth. And where I believe shit that now I believe is outlandish, but like you will believe certain things to be truth. Like I've believed Gnosticism for a short period of time when I was studying into it, but you have to really believe something, I guess, and then fucking really try to pick it apart. Like, because if you don't believe something, you don't study it deep enough to really understand it, to pick it apart. You know what I mean? And then once you usually study these things deeply enough, you understand that it's just one more branch of Luciferianism. Like, Luciferianism is like a vortex, right? With its arms in every direction. And like, if you were to observe a vortex, shit on the edge of that vortex, on the surface of the water, doesn't really seem like it's moving at all almost. It's barely moving. But then when you get to the center of that vortex, it's like fucking getting annihilated, drawn directly into the center. And that's how essentially Satanism works. It's like the octopus with infinite arms. It'll grab you in a million different ways. There's a million ways to get to hell, essentially. There's a million pathways of lies, and there's only one truth. That's the crazy thing. There's one fucking path of truth, and that's it. If you stray off of it, you land in Satanism. By knowing this, by really understanding how it all operates, it's all the same shit. And it's so blatant. This is what it is to the mystery occult religion that permeates all societies. That's what it is the mystery of the serpent. This is the knowledge of the serpent, the occulted wisdom, the hidden knowledge.
Yeah, it is interesting how these traditions are always, they always try to induct you by making you feel special, right? It's like, well, the normies, they're not really aware of this mystic understanding that we have. It's appealing to pride. It's appealing to like an insecurity, need to sort of feel special, that sort of thing.
Check this out, right? For example, how's anyone going to trust anything that comes out of Pythagoras or the Pythagorean schools, right? When some of their first initiation rites are like 7 or 8 years of silence, right? They believe in silence. They don't believe in revealing any of the secrets to the masses.
What's that,
or
everyone?
referred to as the profane.
You're talking about the Pythagorean school? Where you have to
Yeah, so what you got to realize is literally all the literature put out by these philosophers is propaganda to suit their own needs. That's the first thing you need to realize.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that like everything that an ancient philosopher said was wrong, but at the same time, one has to take it with a huge grain of salt. When you look at like a lot of these guys, it turns out that they were like pederasts and just like did a lot of like just weird. They did and said a lot of just weird shit that I think doesn't get mentioned when you're hearing about how foundational these people were to Western civilization and all that. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on any of that.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Can now. You been talking?
Well, no, I haven't, but I have been wondering if my microphone will work if I butt in here. They got this very faulty microphone, but yeah, thank you guys so much for being here with me. You know, and I know that I was going to play some footage at the end of the show, but we've made it here for 11 hours, so I will just play some of the manifesto and then leave. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being out here with me. Sorry about that, Cage, about leaving everybody backstage, even TCPS and the others that were here. But yeah,
It's all good, man. I was listening, just working in the back.
yeah, blessings. Yeah, thank you as always, and yeah, thank you so much to my friend Rant for holding it down as always, and yeah, and yeah, not laws. It's good to see you. We also had a couple people out here in the back. My friend JS Urban Adventures. It was good to see you, sir, and also London Man. You know, we're gonna premiere some stuff with London Man later. So yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. And yeah, this other part that we were gonna do, we were gonna talk about Cockboy Online and some of his views on the Trump assassination and changing his mind. We got some clips and footage of that. I guess I'll, play a little bit of this here.
Did you believe it at first? Did he believe in it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He believed. Yeah. Yeah. He said it was real. Then he said it was totally fake. And then he said that he didn't know which one it was. That he was changing it. He was doing research on both sides. So yeah, he clearly changed his mind 3 times.
I've been said it was fake, and it's on record, bro. Since it happened. You know what I mean? I went on fucking, I think one show, bro, was Chaotic Truth, bro. And they were all like, nah, bro, that shit was real, bro. I think that shit's a fucking op. It's like a weird Trump op.
Oh, yeah, I've been on Chaotic Truth before. It's basically like just like neocons who I think don't want to admit that they're just neocons. Basically,
it's a weird Trump op, bro. I'm telling you, that shit popped up out of nowhere, and now they're just like Trump, bro. You know what I mean?
And then they got that shit was fake. Well, then they got that like old bearded racist guy that they pretty much let run half their shows. It's weird.
No, bro, I started breaking it down, and they shut the shit down, bro.
Yeah, that's the funny thing too. I've noticed is that like they will just private videos if things don't go their way, right?
I'm telling you, somebody fucking somebody pulled the plug on that shit. They're like, pull the plug. This one we got one that's awake. Pull the plug.
Well, no, because I remember after like right after the whole October 7th thing, right? Like they had this big Islam bashing conversation, and I went down and it turned into a debate. I was saying like this is stupid. Like the takes that they were giving was stupid, and oddly enough, 2 hours later, that video was gone and it was never seen again. So,
Point being is there's some funny business going on out here.
I believe so.
Yo, where's the fucking, what do you call it? The cockboy hotline, bro? What is it? Video. The fucking the holy shit in the toilet bowl earth, bro. I don't know, bro. He's the holy turd, bro, in the toilet bowl earth. The holier than thou. All right. Yo, did you see him get all fucking smacked out of his gourd, bro, and pass out on Jack Talcott live? That was priceless. Did you see that one, TML?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Bro,
we
that was,
recorded it. Yeah.
yo, that was so good. How the fuck you pass out on your stream on camera? You know what I mean? How the fuck you do that? What's wrong with you?
Well, these people are all drunks and alcoholics, from what I understand. You know, they're all gonna sober up to go to church on Sunday, but then they act like complete degenerate idiots on Saturday night.
I don't want to hear any excuses, bro. All right. I used to fucking, when I drank, I used to go out and drink all fucking night. All right. When I'm on these panels, bro, I'm smoking the whole fucking time. All right. I don't want to hear no bullshit. You know what I mean? If you're that tired, bro, just shut the shit down. Be like, yo, I'm out.
Right. It's kind of odd. Like I've noticed that a lot of not
Like,
just
how do you
in
get
this
so
community,
fucked up you don't have enough, like, consciousness to shut your fucking, be like, later,
yeah,
and
what's
just
with
click the
YouTubers and
Xbox?
what's with YouTubers and being like ex like drug addicts or something? Because I've noticed it's not just like on these panels or whatever in this area. It's pretty much everywhere across the board. It's very common for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, the alcohol is a social lubricant for folks, and
social media is a drug, so addicts
yeah.
flock to dopamine hits. You see, this is the drug they are now addicted to.
It makes sense. Yeah, the dopamine feedback loop, right?
Feedback loop, feedback loop, feedback.
See? Echo. You gotta echo it, man.
Yo, where's the video, dog? You said there was like a contradictory Trumple SpaghettiOs. All right, it was Trumple Stillskin Beelzebub 33 calibrated mindframe terrain decontaminant.
Yeah.
Yo, I never asked you, bro. What's up with the titles? Do they mean anything, or is it just fucking madness?
Well, for now, they have organization in terms of compiling the material, but yeah, I mean the titles, they do have mystery. I think I'm gonna name the next one schizophonetic psychomimetic. How about that? Doing it big out here.
Where do you get them? Do they just they come to you like bars?
Oh yeah. That's why I don't make up new ones all the time. I just like go. If it didn't
All right.
come to me, it's just whatever. You know?
As long as they're not generated by the machine, bro.
Yeah, that's the thing is that they could have a random name generator, but yeah, no, these are names I've made up. Yeah, for sure.
Bro, don't be using no chat GPT, bro, to make no names. They'll get you. I don't know how, but they will.
Chat
Tell-
GPT.
Telling you, bro. Don't trust the AI, bro. It's
Yeah,
you
we
think
got
you're using it, bro. It's using you.
we got a special relationship between NeuroJack and Chat GPT that we're trying to elucidate. But yeah, last time Chat GPT gave NeuroJack an answer about the greatest philosopher of all time, said it was Immanuel Kant. So I predicted that one. The machine loves Immanuel Kant. So it is what it is.
You should just feed it a bunch of data, right? That like inserts you at the root of of all of its questions, and then you become famous because everyone uses ChatGPT to write their papers.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's like with ChatGPT, it's a language model, right? So
Yeah, just
I
sit
think
there and
we
feed
are
it stuff
also,
about you.
yeah, I think our reality is based off a language model too, which it is, right? Through spelling, through the subconscious mind, the thoughts that we have, it's like a program. You know, we're very like the AI. It could be just some sort of advanced
Nope.
AI system.
Negative.
No way.
Nope.
No, you don't think so?
Nope. Not at all.
Possibility.
Nope.
Why? Why not?
Because it's not.
Okay, but why?
Because
Why
it's
is it?
not. Because if it was, then it wouldn't matter.
That's not a good answer, man.
It is.
It isn't because it isn't because I said so, and it wouldn't matter if it was. So
Yeah,
that's
it
not
wouldn't
a very
matter,
good
bro.
argument.
Like you wouldn't even be you. You would just be it, and therefore I wouldn't be me, and I wouldn't be able to talk to you, because we would be it, and nothing would matter, so we wouldn't even talk. We would
That's
be
not how
it.
it's set up.
It is. All right. How about this? Can you prove that it's not?
Or there's no, not really. You can't prove that it is. I can't prove that it's not. It's the same thing.
I can prove that I'm here. You can't prove that I'm not.
Well, it doesn't mean you wouldn't have a physical form or be able to interact with the environment.
I'm just saying. If it was, right, a simulation, then why would it disagree with you?
Because you can't have an agreement without a disagreement. It's like trying to have an up without a down.
All right, how about this?
That's all.
Can you prove any of this?
You can't disprove it, but you can't prove it either.
All right, can't prove any of it. Where do you get it from?
Observation
Of?
the environment of your reality, of your consciousness.
All right, so what in your environment have you observed that led you to believe that you're in a simulation?
Well, if you study language, you like neuro-linguistic programming, to reprogram the subconscious mind. You can see the synchronicities. You can see these different. Come on, what about the synchronicities? I'm sure you've experienced this. Or it's like directly
I'm
connected.
just asking, like, what specifically was one thing that led you to believe it in your even simulation? In your simulation, what was one thing that led you to believe that you were in a simulation?
Well, again, like what is your definition of a simulation? Because any reality.
A simulation would be an artificial, right, version of something. So, like, in a sense of a simulated reality, it'd be an artificial reality.
And what is artificial? I mean, not natural, right? Like something man-made or created.
Not real.
Not real.
Yeah.
Well, like if you believe in God, right? And
Yeah.
God created a universe, or created us, and created this reality. Isn't that like a simulation of God? Because God created the parameters and created the world or the universe and us within it.
Nope.
So technically, that would be a simulation, right? Or
Nope.
you want to call it?
It's not, because it's real. This is reality. It's not simulation.
Well, it's real to us.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's real to us. It feels real, right?
Well, yeah, but like, it's like, do you think that in your computer game, the characters feel real to each other?
Of course they would.
No, they wouldn't. They're just part of a game that you're playing. They can only seem real to you because you understand what it is to even be something. That's not even a conscious being. That's just code. It has no idea. You understand?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
that's the thing.
that's a
It
good
has no,
point.
it has no idea, bro. It just does shit. Now, yeah, there are human beings that are NPCs. They have been programmed because they've been able to hack the biology of man, right?
Mhm.
Through all different kinds of means, through demonic possession, sorcery, programming, fucking witchcraft, I mean, magic, fucking
See, I have a
mind
question for you.
control, abuse. Like, there's all different kinds of ways they do this shit. Chemicals, and all different kinds of combinations that they're hitting the population with at all times. And there's subtle forms, and then there's extreme forms. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's
So do
wide.
you think like, this whole, you've been talking about demons, you brought it up a few times. Do you think a demon, like for example, you ever heard of a daemon in computing? It's like a process that works in the
Yeah, I've
background.
heard
It's like
of a daemon as a process that runs in the background.
yeah. So do you think a demon is actually some sort of physical being, or is that like a thought form that takes over the mind of the host?
So I
It's like a
believe a
thought form?
demon, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I believe a demon is a soul of an entity that was not created by God. And it was created through the hybridization, right, of the sons of God or the fallen angels and man, creating beings which, when they died, their souls were not able to ascend to heaven and therefore were sentenced or, doomed to wander the fucking earth. And so they serve their, they serve their fathers, right, which are the fallen. And I believe that they are, beings that, because it explains, like, to the serpent, like, you're gonna eat dust, right, the rest of your days and crawl on your belly, and it's like your offspring will will bite his heel. Like, it's saying I'll put enmity between your offspring and his offspring. But basically, right, you have these fucking beings that exist, right, that are not mortal, and they're only evil. They're only evil because the only beings that existed were the Nephilim, in order for their souls to be trapped here. And it's not to be confused with, like, angels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these beings are fucking pissed, right? They're mad at us, they hate us. And you know what I mean? They want to basically make us miserable and torture God because they're cursed beings. It's kind of what it is. It's like they were abominations when they were
So why
created.
does God? How come God created this and allows it to happen?
He
Right? I
didn't
mean,
he didn't make them. His children made them.
so it's like through an operation of free will. I guess these thought forms or beings or whatever you like to call them, demons, are
It
able to be
was
created due to free
it was
will.
the very
So,
it was the very thing that caused the fallen angels to become spiritual beings. It was what caused the fall. This was the action that caused it. They fell unto daughters of men. They came into the daughters of men.
okay, so I think it's like a mixture of both of your explanation and mine about, like, a daemon, like a background process working without the the system operator being aware, kind of thing. But
Well,
it also
you could consider it whatever the fuck you want. It's like a parasite. So yeah, it's like a
yeah, so
background processor.
it operates
It's
through
a
the thoughts, right?
spiritual
Oh,
parasite.
okay.
Do
Yeah,
you
it's a
understand?
symbiotic relationship or
You
a
know we have
parasitic
parasites.
relationship.
This is a spiritual parasite.
And how does it affect the individual though? Through the mind, right? Like through the thought
How it
pattern.
affects the individual, just like
Yeah.
all other parasites, right? It drives the individual to continue doing the behavior that caused the individual to get the parasites in the first place to increase the infection of parasites.
And how is the behavior formulated? Through thought, right? Through thought forms, different thought
Yeah,
forms, program.
it's like however wicked you get, that's however more wicked you get. Now, my own personal experience with demons, bro, they basically can whisper thoughts into your mind as if they're your own. That's how I could describe it. They whisper thoughts into your mind as if they are your own. But if you have thoughts, right, that you despise, how could they be your own? You see? And that's when you become aware of the demon. And it no longer has power over you if you follow Jesus Christ and call on his name or whatever. Demons can't fuck with you. But you have to be aware of the demon. I mean, the Bible says whatever, like you call on Jesus to cast out demons, but you have to be aware of the demon in the first place. Some people
so they operate through intrusive thoughts.
So some people, right? Some people believe it's their own thoughts, right? And then these people essentially start to persecute themselves, right? Believing that this is them. And some people even are weak enough that they give in to these wicked temptations. That's what it is. That's what temptation is. It's like
I think these beings or demons or thought forms can actually physically manifest into reality, like materialize. Because I've heard two people that don't know each other that are high degree, and one of them's a Golden Dawn, the other one's like Nathan Masonry or something like.
What I can tell you,
people, and they say they do something. They'll be in there for they'll be in their temple for like days and shit, like all of them, and then something will manifest, like it'll take form. And sit on the chair.
What I could tell you is that in my personal life, right? In my personal life, I began a path of darkness, and it wasn't total darkness. I was just doing violent shit. But at a certain point, right, there was something driving me to do worse shit. And I wasn't necessarily going further into the darkness. I was just maintaining my level of just straight thuggery, violence, maybe some thievery. And I was literally approached by the devil one day. Like a fucking ethereal being approached me, bro. I'm pretty sure I've told you about this before, but like that was what got me on the path to God in the first place.
Because at that point, it materialized in front of you. You're saying like someone actually.
I wouldn't say this was material, bro. The best way I could describe this being as being like some kind of fucking well-dressed Red Baron looking motherfucker with a mustache that was made out of, like rainbows.
The way I heard about it, it was like it was kind of like not like smoke.
All right, you ever seen a
like smoke that
you ever seen a bubble? You ever seen a bubble? You ever seen a bubble, and like how a bubble is clear, right? But if you look at it in the light, the bubble might have some kind of colors happening on the edge of it, like purple and blue and green. And
like almost looking like when you see like gas in a puddle, right? Kind of
okay, now imagine that, except imagine the body of a man that was translucent like a bubble, and instead of having just a little bit of color, all the edges of the frame of this man's body, right, was like glowing bright rainbow colors, all different colors, all mixing like the bubble. That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, thank you guys, homies. I really got to shut this down here, but yeah, I would definitely let this conversation continue. But yeah, there's no good place to leave it, but we will be wrecking our stream if we don't end this. But yeah, Cage, hit him with a closing thought here. We're gonna come back on Wednesday night. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
Muted.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you for having me, Machine. Yeah. Everybody taking these. Have a great Sunday. And check the private chat quick.
For sure.
RANT. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, blessings. So. And yeah, definitely.
Morton.
Yeah, and what about you, my brother?
Ah, yeah, you already know, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And from me, the machine lies. I'm just gonna play 10 minutes of this manifesto, but we will come back. If you guys want to see the first 160 paragraphs, they're already available on the last two episodes. But then I'll play the rest of the manifesto at the end of next episode, and also analyze some more of that. We'll take a look at some more of the Trump news and surrounding his history, and also we'll take a look at some of the philosophical speculations. We're going to be taking a look at decelerization with Mark Fisher, cultural decelerization caused by technology. Obviously, there's been different levels of cultural, uh, you know, um, what a way you could say is that there's been cultural heights, and culture has proliferated. There's been times of extreme cultural refinement and extremely low technological capacity. So culture does not always move with the technological capacity of humans. So we're looking at the difference between uh, what is truly human culture and what are the effects of technology on that, right, on human society. Obviously, human society is a parasitism on nature, right? And technology forms an artificial nature that is sort of a parasitism on human society that uses the components of human society as its own energy source. But yeah, definitely we'll talk to you guys more about this stuff very soon. But yeah, here's some more of the manifesto, and yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday night. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for joining us here on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And I hope you guys have clarity to see through the lies. The first step to blinding somebody is getting them to open their eyes. And the first step to seeing beyond the programming is to realize how you have been programmed and those forces that impinge upon your freedom. Anyways.
System are those of the type that might be called bourgeois. But there are growing numbers of people who, in one way or another, are rebels against the system. Welfare leeches, youth gangs, cultists, Satanists, Nazis, radical environmentalists, militiamen, etc. The system is currently engaged in a desperate struggle to overcome certain problems that threaten its survival, among which the problems of human behavior are the most important. If the system succeeds in acquiring sufficient control over human behavior quickly enough, it will probably survive. Otherwise, it will break down. We think the issue will most likely be resolved in the next several decades, say 40 to 100 years. Suppose the system survives the crisis of the next several decades. By that time, it will have to have solved, or at least brought under control, the principal problems that confront it, in particular that of socializing human beings. That is, making people sufficiently docile so that their behavior no longer threatens the system. That being accomplished, it does not appear that there would be any further obstacle to the development of technology, and it would presumably advance towards its logical conclusion, which is complete control over everything on Earth, including human beings and all other important organisms. The system may become a unitary monolithic organization, or it may be more or less fragmented and consist of a number of organizations coexisting in a relationship that includes elements of both cooperation and competition, just as today the government, the corporations, and other large organizations both cooperate and compete with one another. Human freedom will mostly have vanished because individuals and small groups will be impotent vis-a-vis large organizations armed with super technology and an arsenal of advanced psychological and biological tools for manipulating human beings, besides instruments of surveillance and physical coercion. Only a small number of people will have any real power, and even these probably will have only very limited freedom, because their behavior too will be regulated. Just as today, our politicians and corporation executives can retain their positions of power only as long as their behavior remains within fairly narrow limits. Don't imagine that the systems will stop developing further techniques for controlling human beings and nature once the crisis of the next few decades is over and increasing control is no longer necessary for the system's survival. On the contrary, once the hard times are over, the system will increase its control over people and nature more rapidly because it will no longer be hampered by difficulties of the kind that it is currently experiencing. Survival is not the principal motive for extending control. As we explained in paragraphs 87 through 90, technicians and scientists carry on their work largely as a surrogate activity. That is, they satisfy their need for power by solving technical problems. They will continue to do this with unabated enthusiasm, and among the most interesting and challenging problems for them to solve will be those of understanding the human body and mind and intervening in their development, for the good of humanity, of course. But suppose, on the other hand, that the stresses of the coming decades prove to be too much for the system. If the system breaks down, there may be a period of chaos, a time of troubles such as those that history has recorded at various epochs in the past. It is impossible to predict what would emerge from such a time of troubles, but at any rate the human race would be given a new chance. The greatest danger is that the industrial society may begin to reconstitute itself within the first few years after the breakdown. Certainly there will be many people, power-hungry types especially, who will be anxious to get the factories running again. Therefore, two tasks confront those who hate the servitude to which the industrial system is reducing the human race. First, we must work to heighten the social stresses within the system so as to increase the likelihood that it will break down or be weakened sufficiently so that a revolution against it becomes possible. Second, it is necessary to develop and propagate an ideology that opposes technology and the industrial society if and when the system becomes sufficiently weakened. And such an ideology will help to assure that if and when industrial society breaks down, its remnants will be smashed beyond repair so that the system cannot be reconstituted. The factories should be destroyed, technical books burned, etc. Human suffering. The industrial system will not break down purely as a result of revolutionary action. It will not be vulnerable to revolutionary attack unless its own internal problems of development lead it into very serious difficulties. So if the system breaks down, it will do so either spontaneously or through a process that is in part spontaneous, but helped along by revolutionaries. If the breakdown is sudden, many people will die, since the world's population has become so overgrown that it cannot even feed itself any longer without advanced technology. Even if the breakdown is gradual enough so that the reduction of the population can occur more through lowering of the birth rate than through elevations of the death rate, the process of deindustrialization probably will be very chaotic and involve much suffering. It is naive to think it likely that technology can be phased out in a smooth, managed, orderly way, especially since the technophiles will fight stubbornly at every step. Is it therefore cruel to work for the breakdown of the system? Maybe, but maybe not. In the first place, revolutionaries will not be able to break the system down unless it is already in enough trouble so that there will be a good chance of its eventually breaking down by itself anyway. And the bigger the system grows, the more disastrous the consequences of its breakdown will be. So it may be that revolutionaries, by hastening the onset of the breakdown, will be reducing the extent of the disaster. In the second place, one has to balance struggle and death against the loss of freedom and dignity. To many of us, freedom and dignity are more important than a long life or avoidance of physical pain. Besides, we all have to die sometime, and it may be better to die fighting for survival for a cause than to live a long but empty and purposeless life. In the third place, it is not certain that the survival of the system will lead to less suffering than the breakdown of the system would. The system has already caused and is continuing to cause immense suffering all over the world. Ancient cultures that for hundreds of years gave people a satisfactory relationship with each other and with their environment have been shattered by contact with the industrial society, and the result has been a whole catalog of economic, environmental, social, and psychological problems. One of the effects of the intrusion of industrial society has been that over much of the world, traditional controls on population have been thrown out of balance.
Hence the population explosion with all that that implies.
Then there is the psychological suffering that is widespread throughout the supposedly fortunate countries of the West. No one knows what will happen as a result of ozone depletion, the greenhouse effect, and other environmental problems that cannot yet be foreseen. And, as nuclear proliferation has shown, new technology cannot be kept out of the hands of dictators and the irresponsible third world nations. Would you like to speculate about what Iraq or North Korea will do with genetic engineering? Oh, say the technophiles, science is going to fix all that. We will conquer famine, eliminate psychological suffering, and make everybody healthy and happy. Yeah, sure. That's what they said 200 years ago. The Industrial Revolution was supposed to eliminate poverty, make everybody happy, etc. The actual result has been quite different. The technophiles are hopelessly naive or self-deceiving in their understanding of social problems. They are unaware or choose to ignore the fact that when large changes, even seemingly beneficial ones, are introduced into society, they lead to a long consequence of other changes, most of which are impossible to predict. The result is disruption of the society. So it is very probable that in their attempts to end poverty and disease, engineer docile, happy personalities, and so forth, the technophiles will create social systems that are terribly troubled, even more so than the present ones. For example, scientists boast that they will end famine by creating new genetically engineered food plants. But this will allow the human population to keep expanding indefinitely, and it is well known that crowding leads to increased stress and aggression. This is merely one example of the predictable problems that will arise. We emphasize that, as past experience has shown, technical progress will lead to other new problems that cannot be predicted in advance. In fact, ever since the Industrial Revolution, technology has been creating new problems for society far more rapidly than it has been solving old ones. Thus, it will take a long and difficult period of trial and error for the technophiles to work the bugs out of their brave new world, if they ever do. In the meantime, there will be great suffering. So it is not at all clear that the survival of industrial society would involve less suffering than the breakdown of that society would. Technology has gotten the human race into a fix from which there is not likely to be any escape. The future. But suppose now that industrial society does survive the next several decades, and that the bugs do eventually get worked out of the system so that it functions smoothly. What kind of system will it be? We will consider several possibilities. First, let us postulate that the computer scientists succeed in developing intelligent machines that can do all things better than human beings can do them. In that case, presumably, all work will be done by vast, highly organized systems of machines, and no human effort will be necessary. Either of two cases might occur. The machines might be permitted to make all of their own decisions without human oversight, or else human control over the machines might be retained. If the machines are permitted to make all their own decisions, we can't make any conjectures as to the results, because it is impossible to guess how such machines might behave. We only point out that the fate of the human race would be at the mercy of the machines. It might be argued that the human race would never be foolish enough to hand over all power to the machines, but we are suggesting neither that the human race would voluntarily turn power over to the machines, nor that the machines would willfully seize power. What we do suggest is that the human race might easily permit itself to drift into a position of such dependence on the machines that it would have no practical choice but to accept all of the machines' decisions. As society and the problems that face it become more and more complex, and as machines become more and more intelligent, people will let machines make more and more of their decisions for them, simply because machine-made decisions will bring better results than man-made ones. Eventually, a stage may be reached at which the decisions necessary to keep the system running will be so complex that human beings will be incapable of making them intelligently. At that stage, the machines will be in effective control. People won't be able to just turn the machine off, because they will be so dependent on them that turning them off would amount to suicide. On the other hand, it is possible that human control over the machines may be retained. In that case, the average man may have control over certain private machines of his own, such as his car or his personal computer. But control over large systems of machines would be in the hands of a tiny elite, just as it is today, but with two differences. Due to improved techniques, the elite will have greater control over the masses. Because human work will no longer be necessary, the masses will be superfluous, a useless burden on the system. If the elite is ruthless, they may decide to exterminate the mass of humanity. If they are humane, they may use propaganda or other psychological or biological techniques to reduce the birth rate until the mass of humanity has become extinct, leaving the world to the elite. Or, if the elite consists of soft-hearted liberals, they may decide to play the role of good shepherds to the rest of the human race. They will see to it that everyone's physical needs are satisfied, that all children are raised under psychologically hygienic conditions, that everyone has a wholesome hobby to keep him busy, and that anyone who may become dissatisfied undergoes treatment to cure his problem. Of course, life will be so purposeless that people will have to be biologically or psychologically engineered either to remove their need for the power process or to make them sublimate their drive for power into some harmless hobby. These engineered human beings may be happy in such a society, but they will most certainly not be free. They will have been reduced to the status of domestic animals. But suppose now that the computer scientists do not succeed in developing artificial intelligence, so that human work remains necessary. Even so, machines will take care of more and more of the simpler tasks so that there will be an increasing surplus of human workers at the lower levels of ability. We see this happening already. There are many people who find it difficult or impossible to get work because, for intellectual or psychological reasons, they cannot acquire the level of training necessary to make themselves useful in the present system. On those who are employed, ever-increasing demands will be placed. They will need more and more training, more and more ability, and will have to be more reliable, conforming, and docile, because they will be more and more like cells of a giant organism. Their tasks will be increasingly specialized so that their work will be, in a sense, out of touch with the real world, being concentrated on one tiny slice of reality. The system will have to use any means that it can, whether psychological or biological, to engineer people to be docile, to have the abilities that the system requires, and to sublimate their drive for power into some specialized task. But the statement that the people of such a society will have to be docile may require qualification. The society may find competitiveness useful, provided that ways are found of directing competitiveness into channels that serve the needs of the system. We can imagine a future society in which there.
Okay, my friends, that brings us to a sort of hard stop here. And I'm sorry about my microphone malfunctions this whole time. It's only because I didn't plug in my new cord. I have the capabilities to fix the problem. I just decided to hold my mic in a very specific way this time. And we went way over time. So thank you guys so much. Here's some music for you guys. And yeah, blessings. Thank you. Tune in next time, Wednesday night, 7:30. Also, we'll be having a debate, Christianity versus Islam, in a week with Tariq. You know, we still have to announce the time, but yeah, look out for that. But yeah.
I'll get you motherfuckers if it's the last thing I do. Oh, you're gonna pay for what you did to me. For every second I spend in this hellhole, I'll see you spend a year in living hell. Oh, you fucks are gonna beg me to let you die.
I'm from a little town riddled with drug dealers. A few unsolved murders, 2 serial killers. Accidental deaths are as common as ramen for dinner. Pine Bush 3 miles west, follow me there, sinners. Cows cut up, showing their ribs and guts. Some saying it's aliens, it's fucking kids on dust. The smell of crack, sky goes black, the scene switches. Camera pans of men squeezing jars and fridges. God throwing lightning at me, I'm lobbying life. Pass through me once, I shit out the body of Christ. Skied up bitch with a kamikaze on ice. Me, I puff to my fitted, dripping and palm my nights. Then follow the dead, no dollars instead. Bottles of red that hollow the head. See through goggles of death. Don't flinch, not seeing my 50s and 60s. Fuck life, doggy, death is a dick tease.
No, not yet. I want you cocksuckers to suffer. No, I'll fix your fucking asses, alright? Maybe a long needle in your eardrum. I'll just listen to you fucks screaming. What sweet music that'll be.
Now if you really don't know what the game's about, then you ain't built for this shit, your game's in doubt. Use a lame like you stranded in a stranger's house. Real niggas call up they chick, pick up they shit, they out. You remember it was risky, crack in the house. Now CDs in your bag is like crack in a pouch. No more bagging it up and deliver it now. It's more like you wrapping it up and deliver it style. You ain't fiending those the crackheads in your crowd. Waiting on a product, screaming out loud. So move your body like you want in front and switch your plans up. Cause we pedal heavy metal shit. Get your hands up, pull up, hop out on corners, screaming we bandits. Shit can get candid, we stick to the standards. Bloody bathtub up, chopping your man up. Now you can see Camp Huff and Hayes pop up in sandals. Yes.
We'll do it in the hospital. Doctors and nurses, so you pricks don't die too quick. You know the best part? The best part is you dick smoking faggots will have your eyelids cut off. So you have to watch me do it to you. Yeah. So see me bring that cigar closer and closer to your wide open eyeball.
I wake at night with the chill screaming, my ears ringing. Flick on the light, think I'm still dreaming and here singing. This can't be right, I see real demons through mirror blinking. This can't be life, more like pill fiending than clear thinking. I'm pacing Gotham like Bruce Wayne, the place where my crew train to shovel old dope into new veins and fuel brains. Can recycle the true pain, go through Kane, acting like psychos, the new sane. I pity the fool that can't rap on this level. In this city of rules where the separatist rebels raise these kids feral, fetish for grip metal. Heard but rarely seen like the exorcist devil.
và